What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Episode I don't know of the Daily Hangover. Couple people short tonight, but they got shit to do too. I can't hold them up every Wednesday night like I'd like to. But you get the full shebang here. Rock, what's going on, man?
Just sitting around having a good time.
That's what I'm talking about. Good time every time here at the Daily Hangover. Thanks for all your passion, all your excitement. It's much appreciated. What's up, Zeus?
What's going on, everybody?
So I don't have any history lessons today, but what I do have is a little topic I did want to get into about guns. Probably one of the most debated things politically charged here in America, and it's still current. So I came across an article today where there was a kid in, I believe, Kentucky, who it was a school shooting. Nobody was injured. He got the guns out of his parents' closet, took them to school, and attempted to kill people. And the district attorney there is wanting to press charges on the parents for not protecting the guns from the kids. So I guess it's called the gun in the closet. And let's see here.
That doesn't make sense. So
I guess what I'm trying to get at, if you're a parent, you got your gun in the closet, your 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid takes the gun out of the closet, goes to a school, murders 10 people, should you be held liable because you didn't protect your gun from a minor?
I don't think so. I mean, held liable, yes. Charged with the murders, no. But yeah, you should be held liable to a degree.
To what degree do you think?
That is a question I don't know if I have an answer to. Public shaming? I don't know.
I think 100%.
100% the parents should be held liable?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because, so my reasoning behind that is because of the fact, so when you grow up out in the middle of nowhere, from Oklahoma, from all these other areas you've ever been, having a weapon is a privilege, all right? But also along with that privilege and that responsibility, you should always, always, always have all the safes set up, all the freaking, every back corner you can think of to keep your weapon protected in case, your kid is like, hey, Jimmy, come check out my dad's 45, shit like that. So I think that parents should be held 100% liable because of the fact that it is their responsibility to keep that weapon out of their kids' hands.
Okay. But a 15, 16-year-old kid? I mean, I could see if an 8-year-old kid did it, right?
All right, so yeah,
I think there's a difference, right? You got a kid who's 15 going on 16. Even if the gun was locked up, a kid at that age can figure out how to get into his dad's safe, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So at what age do we say, oh, he's a minor, right? He's a minor.
Whoa. That might be me. Hang on.
You got to mute it.
Yep, there it is. I did everything except mute. Video.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, so this is my kind of stance on it. So you have a kid who's 16 years old, takes his parents' gun, goes into the school, shoots them down, and now all of a sudden we're going to take the responsibility off the kids and we're going to say, oh, parents, it's your fault for not protecting your weapon from your deranged child. So he's just a minor. He's 16 years old. He doesn't know any better. But on the flip coin, you go into any inner city And you have 14, 15-year-old kids that get influenced by these older gang members to commit murders. And you have 14 and 15-year-old inner city kids that are being tried as adults every day, right?
All right. Well, if we're going to put
where's their protection? They're not just innocent minors, and it's not their fault. They're just minors, right? They're being charged as adults at 14, 15, 16 years old.
If we're going to put a number on it, we should grandfather it and probably just say universally, any child that has that has handled a weapon over the age of 13, period, because that's puberty. That was grandfather law from for centuries.
I agree.
Once you turn 13, you are an adult.
That's when your masculinity starts coming. You get your little pubes going on. You fucking armpits
and you
start thinking.
Scheming and trying to figure out how to go behind your parents' backs. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Dave, because that was one of the points I was gonna make was there's all these other instances in life and death situations where kids younger than that or older, but still that same age range, get into some problems and they don't have this conversation. They don't say, do the parents deserve to be arrested for their kids acting the way they act?
I think civilly, like in a civil suit, you probably have some weight there, right? On a civil suit. I could see a civil suit coming down, but as far as, you're going to lock up, parents, you want to charge them for the death of kids because your kid killed somebody? I understand it's my gun, but guns are pretty easily accessible. And who's to say the gun was in my closet and I didn't have a trigger finger lock on it and he got my key? What am I supposed to do? It's my constitutional right. Not only is it my constitutional right, it's my kid's constitutional right to have a gun too. Children are allowed to operate weapons also, right? It's not illegal for a minor. Like when I grew up in high school, motherfuckers had gun racks on the back of their truck.
Yep, me too.
You know what I'm saying? So
I went to fucking high school like 2 hours away from Columbine, so it's like,
ooh.
And yet we still had gun racks in our trucks in the parking lot right outside of Florence, Colorado. That's where the Supermax of the United States is. That's where it's held. The actual Supermax with all the Guantanamo Bay detainees. You have all these prisons.
Oh, that's where they send them? Damn.
You have all these prisons, and yet you're allowed to have a gun in your truck within 100 yards of the school entrance. Doesn't make any sense.
Yep. And that's actually what they're trying to do now. And I've heard it talked before on a couple threads. And I don't know if it's like gun control advocates that are trying to protect gun rights by holding the responsible adult accountable, as a defense mechanism. I'm not really sure what angle people kind of take by that, but does gun safety need to be practiced in the house? Yes. Should you secure your weapon? To a degree, because a home defense weapon that is overly secured is not going to do you any good in an emergency.
No, it's not. It almost.
So your gun has to be moderately easily accessible, right? Moderately to easily accessible. You can't have a gun in a safe, then a fucking fingerprint box, pull your pistol out, unlock the trigger thing. By then you're dead. So. What do you want? You know what I mean? Should it be a loaded weapon in the closet? Maybe.
It's got to be in a closet with one key. That's all. Like but you got to take the precautions.
Fuck that, dude. I mean, I would want a pistol in my nightstand. I don't because I have small children, but eventually I'm gonna have a pistol in my nightstand.
Then put a lock box. Right there.
Right. Okay, then I got to what? I got to put my fucking biometric handprint on that motherfucker. That takes, an extra 10 seconds? Take it out, pull the gun out, when I just open the drawer and pull it
how
out.
long until you ask Siri or Echo to unlock your gun safe?
Say that now.
How long until you can ask Siri or like what's the other bitch name for Amazon?
Oh yeah, I think that's coming soon.
Let's open my pistol box.
Well, you've heard about the Google Assistant, right? Have you listened to the video where the guy will make reservations for you? It's eerie, right? Have you heard that, Coop? The guy calls, like it sounds like a regular dude. He's got all your information. You tell him what you want. I want reservation for Sky Bar at 8 p.m. He'll call in, say, "Hi, this is John. I'd like to make a reservation for Wednesday at 8 p.m." And he sounds like a human, that's a scary thing all in itself also.
Mm-hmm.
So now Google has all your information. They already have all your information, but now they have all your information. Now Google is your personal assistant. It's going to handle your day-to-day outlook. It's got your medical shit. It's got your personal shit. It's got all your connections. And the implications of that could be fucking frightening, right? I mean, if somebody hacked your Google, right? I mean, what could they possibly do with the assistant? And people would think that it's you.
Yeah.
Like, just say I hacked your Google account, Zeus, and now I'm using your Google Assistant to like fucking carry out my nefarious activities.
Yeah.
Or transfer money from bank to bank. Hey, Google Assistant, wire this money from here to there, you know?
Yeah, I pulled that up if you want me to pull up the Google Assistant.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Real quick, back to the lockbox thing.
Yeah, let's get on that. Yeah, let's finish.
There was this gentleman. I don't know if you guys have seen it or seen the video. It's kind of cool. This guy, he actually built an electromagnetic Thor hammer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. All right. So it's the same kind of technology. If you think about it, it's really simple to build a wooden box that's attached to your headboard and to incorporate an actual finger touch for an electromagnetic lock.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty simple. And all you have to do is put your fingerprint on there, open it up, gives you 30 seconds to take the gun out, time it.
Yeah, I would be great with something like that.
Yeah, see,
I mean that's acceptable.
But we just don't have the technology yet. People need to start, the technology's there. It's just not invented because people haven't really thought about it. They don't really care for that kind of.
I've seen some headboard / trapdoor headboard bed, apparatuses. I don't think they've incorporated the biometrics to it yet, but I think that would.
I think
probably
biometrics
coming soon. Coming soon.
I think that would work. Honestly,
I think that would work too, and I think that'd be acceptable. I just find it unacceptable to have to secure your weapon for home defense to a certain degree,
Well, then I feel like that inevitably begs the question, should you be able to have that level of home defense and have kids?
Yeah, that's who you're defending, right?
Right.
I think maybe, okay, so maybe it's this. Say you register your weapon, right? How many kids do you have and what are their ages? And once you establish that you have a weapon in the house and you have kids, and once they hit the age of 12 or 13, and they're required to also be qualified on that weapon and take gun safety courses, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they need to fall under your established license as trained up to the status that they need to be trained to in order to make it acceptable for them to be in the house with the weapon.
I like that idea, but I'm going to be the asshole and say, well, what about all those years that they're not 11 or 12? Like it's just like
12-year-olds aren't going into a high school or their junior high and shooting people.
No, but they might find it and accidentally shoot themselves.
That's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. I mean, sadly, it happens a lot, right? Sadly, it happens a lot.
Do we as a community, as the human race, do we just agree that's just going to happen? I think I think it is just going to happen. As long as there are weapons that we're allowed to have at home, there's going to be a small percentage of accidents. But I don't know if you've seen this guy. I wish I could remember this name, man. Just it's this black dude with dreads. He's covered in tattoos, like on his face, but he has like 2 kids, and they're both real young, like 3 and 4 years old. And he homeschools.
Oh, and they know the rounds by touch. Yeah.
Well, they know not only that, they're educated in general on a lot of stuff. The kids their age are learning, you're learning that shit in high school, and here they are 4 and 5 years old with all this knowledge and stuff.
He's teaching them business. He's teaching them history. He's raising them.
So that's how he wants to raise them. I'm more comfortable with that. I'd be way more comfortable, even in your situation, Dave, if you were like, yeah, I'm safe because my kids know where the gun is. They know how it works. They know how to handle it safely. I know that for a fact because I've trained with them. I've taught them how to do this. So,
do you think that should that be part of the stipulations of buying a weapon then?
That's what I'm saying. If we're going to talk gun control, right?
But I'm talking that young though. They're like 3 and 4. You're talking about like 12.
I think 13. He's on the extreme side. He's a super motivated dude. Not everybody has that ability to teach like that or the knowledge to teach like that. But I mean, I commend him for what he's doing. I've seen the videos. I think it's very respectable.
I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's really dope.
But that level of knowledge that those kids have, I think is exceeding what the standard that I'm speaking of, right?
For sure, yeah.
I'm saying you go to a firing range with a licensed professional who trains your kid with you at the same time, and you bring your weapon in. They learn the weapon. They learn the gun safety. They go through the courses, and it probably needs to be a higher level than what an adult would probably need as standard-wise. And if your kid's not able to pass that or obtain the requirements, then that discussion probably needs to be worked out by somebody who knows the law better. It's just my opinion on it, because gun control regulation is going to come, and where are we going to draw the line? How are parents going to protect themselves from frivolous lawsuits if their kid grabs a gun and goes and does some stupid shit?
Yeah.
And at what time do we start addressing just the mental health of the school environment?
That's really the
right.
I think the gun discussion topic is mental health. Totally.
So,
because people, if they didn't have guns, like there's already been like mass stabbings and stuff after all this gun talk.
Yeah,
if people are gonna try to kill a bunch of people,
yeah,
and we need to address why that's happening, not why do we have guns. Like that seems a little ridiculous. And then of course, once that starts, a lot of the members of the NRA are going to be like, stereotypical. They're trying to take our guns, like, because they think any kind of adjustment means that the next 3 or 4 steps, their guns are going to be taken away. Which is like, I feel like that is not necessarily unrealistic, but there's got to be some kind of reform somewhere, right? Like something's going to have to budge, either the how serious we take mental health or the guns. I think it's totally the mental health. I mean, we got pharmaceutical companies hooking the world on opiates, and you know what I mean. You're using heroin to get heroin addicts off of heroin. Like when they come out of rehab, they prescribe them opiates. Like I'm friends with a couple of recovering heroin addicts, and I know a couple people who have died, and like you get cycled back in. So my friend, she was describing to me, I don't want to say any names, but she was describing that like she's happy that she's not doing the heroin anymore, but now it's like I got these pills I got to try and kick, and they keep encouraging her to stay on them, and she's like, no, like I came to rehab and I went through process to get off of heroin. You know what I mean? So it's like the way we handle shit's fucked up anyway.
It's methadone, and I think they also use something called Suboxone also for recovering heroin addicts. See, there's one right there. I definitely agree with you. But unfortunately, I don't think that.
I hate you.
Unfortunately, I don't think that we're going anywhere anytime soon. Number one, because Zach is yelling. Number two, because Eric's what is it? Fuck you, Eric. I think that's what we say. Yeah.
Always.
So the pharmaceutical industry, I don't think is going anywhere, right? No. I think they've staked their claim in marijuana now, and they're aggressively advocating for marijuana to be legal so that they can sink their teeth in on those sweet green nuggets.
I'm worried about countries, man, because when government gets their hands on shit, how long until it's like some monster shit where they're like, oh, well, we copyrighted the DNA for marijuana. We're going to change it as much as we want.
Right.
That's not going to happen just because everyone.
Plants.
That's the only thing about that is marijuana is too much. It's too everywhere to be able to do that. But at the same time, if Monsanto can pull it off with fucking corn, I mean, it's corn. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, but who grows corn? Like, not very many people like grow corn, but I could have a plant in my fucking house with a grow light and I'm good to go. You know,
like a lot of like Indian farmers, like the suicide rate was like skyrocketing after Monsanto did that because they were just like, you can't use those.
Oh, when they went across seas, I remember hearing that story. They went over to India and put all those farmers out of business.
Yeah,
and they started offing themselves. That was a really
like the 10,000s or something.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I forgot about that.
Crazy, man.
That's an evil corporation, man. Evil. Yeah. It may be evil, but unfortunately, I have to say this: they may save our lives one day. They may save the human race one day. Right?
Maybe.
We may get to a population level that requires genetically modified food.
Well, I think we're there. I think that's why it happened.
We may get to a cyclic weather system that happens where we're droughted or ocean levels rise. Who knows? Whatever it is, where we need genetically modified fish to grow faster, genetically modified corn to grow faster, to feed people. So we think of them as evil, but the people at the highest level are they thinking about, okay, we're going to put a couple farmers out of business, or are they thinking about money, or are they truly thinking about we're going to be the global food supply if some shit really goes down one day? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what angle they're taking. I know financially, I know where they're going with it, but like behind the financial benefits of what they're doing, is there like a bigger picture of saving the human race in play there?
Maybe, but I feel like now I'm no damn like scientist or botanist or whatever the proper term is, but I feel like the same thing could have been without you copywriting corn. Like, why not just figure out how to make it and just keep making it instead of taking it away? That's the evil part. That's the, you know what I mean? I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree. I don't know, man.
I don't agree with what I said either. I'm just trying to come from a different perspective.
No, I agree to be totally a thought process behind it.
Because sure. I'm more of a type of dude that, like, let's just let the shit play out. Let's see how it happens. Let's see what goes down. You know, like, life is fucked. We all know we're going to come across travesties and crisis and, fucking Yellowstone may blow and cause a fucking nuclear winter or whatever they fucking call it. Well, and acid rain from the sky, and we're all fucking dying and, you know, having to migrate, you know, long distances, and there's no food and there's no water, and it may become a chaotic situation for a while. And are they just trying to get ahead of that? You know?
Yeah.
My metaphor behind this, all of this and everything is, you know, you can live your entire life in a dark room, shackled, born in that shackled dark room, not know anything whatsoever that's outside of that room, right? That light comes on, you become unshackled, you're able to walk outside. So why not try what you see next? Because if we know that something isn't going to work based on paper, then we haven't tried it yet. So let's try it before we josh the facts on the paper, you know?
Right.
I think we tried that with communism.
Yeah.
There's a couple things on paper that still look bad.
Well, communism on paper looks fucking fantastic.
Well, communism was also they were also trying to touch on genetic food too. So,
yeah,
you know, they're going somewhere.
There's something to it.
There's something to it. Just try
Population growth is not.
Nike does it. They just do it.
They just do it. Hey, then maybe that's the motto. Just do it. Fuck it.
Open up that sweatshop that you always dreamed of.
Just do it.
So, if you want to pull something up real quick, Zach.
Yeah, what's up?
Pull up Cody Wilson and Defense Distributed, right? This is the 3D gun thing that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cody Wilson, he's the owner of a company called Defense Distributed. It's a company that designs code for the development of 3D weapons on 3D printed machines. In 2013, he posted his first design for the 3D gun called the Liberator. I think you guys all seen it. It looks like a white 3D printed.
Looks like a giant
38-45 looking thing. It's a single shot.
Yeah, it looks like a giant fucking hot glue gun.
Yes. It's a single shot. I think it's made out of like ABS, the same shit Legos is made out of, right? Like ABS plastic. It came out in 2013, and then it kind of disappeared for a while. We haven't heard of it in a few years because the government immediately went after him and made him take down the plans for that gun, and then they made it a federal crime if anybody reposted it. So he fought that court case for years, and then he won, right? In 2015, I think towards the end of 2015, he won. Almost 2016, he won, and then they came back and they appealed it. And last month he was able to release his plans again, so his website went back up. He put the 3D gun back out there, and all of a sudden the gun advocates, like a group of 6 big-time gun control advocates, got together, got their big-time lawyers on, sued him again, and a federal judge put a temporary ban on his website again until I think they're going to go to deliberation August 10th, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, my bad, Dave. It's not letting me do it. I'm following the directions.
All right. You got the new link? Are you pulling it up, the new link I sent you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I came from. No, I'm supposed to be able to press on the screen recording on here, and when I hold it, the Zoom's supposed to come up so I can stream it from my phone.
Okay.
But that option's not coming up.
Are you logged in with your phone yet, though? Have you re-logged in with your phone?
Yeah, I'm not actually on. I'm still on it. I never left. I just turned off all the audio and
okay.
I hit start video. Hang on, maybe I just need to start everything.
There's not a screen mirroring option.
Woo! My bad.
So cool.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah. What the fuck? Damn, I guess I gotta talk to Justin. It's telling me how to do it.
He told you that you weren't gonna be able to do a good a job as he is.
Oh well. Y'all, he already had this set up though.
he came in like half an hour early.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying though. We can keep talking about it though.
All right, so let me see here.
If you want to screen share from yours, while
I'm gonna go ahead and screen share it while we're.
I'm gonna rejoin from my phone too.
All right, so you guys see it?
Yep. Yeah, right, I know who this guy is too. He's awesome.
Yeah, so here's the gun. So I guess why I wanted to bring it up is, so a couple of the points that the opposition is saying is, unregistered people are gonna be able to just print guns for one, even though it's a constitutional right. Number two, they'll be able to. There's like one piece of steel or aluminum, heavy duty aluminum, I think, that will slide into the gun. It'll be the only metal part, and they're saying you can remove that and move the gun through metal detectors and things like that. So they're bringing up some pretty minute points. I think the biggest one is the unregistered aspect of it and the fact that anybody can just 3D print a gun. So where do you lie on the fact that you should have the ability to create and build your own gun, right? Because if you had a metal shop with a lathe and all the great machining metal machining shops, like somewhere where Tay, like something like Tay does, where he probably has the ability to build a gun at his company, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between that, which probably would cost you upwards of $100,000 to $200,000 for a metal shop, and $5,000 for a top-notch 3D printer, right? You could do either one of them at home, right?
Yeah.
So should the government have the right to step in and tell this man that he cannot put out plans for a 3D model?
I think for the sake of the wrong people doing it, I think that alone is definitely what they're thinking. Do I think that's good enough reason to do it? I don't know, because a lot more craziness would happen if it would make it clearly much easier to have access to guns and do as you please. You know what I mean?
I don't know what I feel about it, to tell you the truth. I think that hold on, let me stop sharing.
Oh yeah, let me see if this works.
I think that for one thing, let me say this. I think that I 100% think you should have the access to those files. I don't think it's the government's place to come in and say you cannot have access to a 3D printed gun model when I could go to many places and buy a weapon legally and not register it. If I print a 3D model gun, then my state should have an option for that so that I could register it, right? So they say, okay, it's illegal to print a 3D gun and not get it registered. Now we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can get an unregistered gun, but if you print a 3D gun and you're caught with it without the stamp, so you print a 3D gun, you go up to the sheriff's office, they got an engraver or something, they engrave that serial number for that 3D printed gun on there. You know, they have a catalog of it. You get it registered through your local sheriff's office or authorized gun dealer. You register it. So what's the I don't understand what the difference is.
Because I think just as easy as it is to pirate stuff, you could, like, especially if you're smart or know people who are smart, I feel like you'd be able to get around that pretty easily. I think that's probably what the problem is.
It seems like if it was that easy, it'd be happening a lot more often, though.
Well, but at this point, it's still somewhat in its infancy, and I don't know.
Right, it was out for a short period of time in 2013. Then they pulled the plan, so some people have them, but it's illegal to give them to anybody on a federal level. You know, it's probably illegal to print them.
Yeah, because he got like kicked out of his home country for this, right? He had to move somewhere where he could legally even work on making this possible, right?
Well, this is an American-based company. The Feet distributed.
Then this must be someone different, because there was another guy who's like, he made it his whole mission in life to be able to print the parts and be able to assemble a gun with.
Well, that's what this guy is doing. He's been in court since 2013, and he's still dealing with it.
I wonder if they make the same dude. I figured it out too, Dave. It's my phone I use for work, and it's like rooted to connect to their server. And I think to protect their shit, it doesn't let me record and stream to other shit.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I forgot that it's connected to that. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna let me.
Let me try.
All right,
I could do it and do video from my phone and then screen share from here for next time Chief can't make it. But
okay, so let me ask you this question: If now this is getting kind of far out there, if I own a 3D printer and my kid goes on the internet and gets a 3D gun fucking plan, he uploads it in his 3D printer, he prints his 3D gun, he takes that gun to school and he pops his principal in the head. Like, should I be held responsible for not protecting my 3D printer now?
it's
The same way as, you know what I mean?
There has to be a line. It's the same thing with this gender craziness. Nobody's drawing the line to where, okay, you're just being insane. There's no line anymore. People are moving the line like as they please. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. That's definitely a good one. I mean, like, how would you even get around that?
How much influence are we going to let the government have over our lives, right? That's what we need to say.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. But the reality is we don't have the army weaponry that they have anyway. So it's like, and on one hand, I feel like, why not just be lenient? Because you can just pull up to my house with a tank or just drop a bomb. I live so close to Andrews, they could just shoot the fuck out of my house right now. You know what I mean? Like, they could dispatch an F-16 and fuck my shit up in a matter of seconds, minutes. So it's like, yeah, where do you draw the line at? Because the power the government has is so overwhelming as it is. To be splitting hairs on home defense and who should be responsible and this and that is like, you gotta, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had like a solid answer. I don't know.
Well, because even Trump came out and said something about it.
Of course he did.
But he actually tweeted, what did he tweet? Let me see here. He said that he said, I've spoken with the NRA about them, parentheses 3D guns, because the technology doesn't seem to make much sense. So Trump's not even 100% sure whether the 3D gun printing operation is I don't know, useful. I don't know. But I think that his viewpoint is, how can we make money off of it? If everybody's just 3D printing their own guns, then
for sure, because it's inevitable.
It's gonna drop gun sales, right? I think that's where he's like, okay, I need to look into this a little more. Like,
it's
how can I? He's like, how can my corporate buddies benefit off people printing guns at home? You know?
Yeah, he'll make it so you can print your gun, but the side of that Glock you print at home says Trump, United States of fucking America.
Right. Where's the tax money? You got to pay licensing fees and all that shit to own guns. And if people are just printing 3D guns, man, we're not going to make all that money. We're not going to get the fucking tax revenue. We're not going to get the licensing revenue. You know, that's really what they care about. They don't give a fuck if we go out and kill each other. It's all about finance, right?
Yeah. Facts.
It's all about revenue. We need to be able to make money off of every aspect of these people's lives. And if they start going out and growing their own tobacco and making their own liquor and growing their own weed and making their own guns and growing their own food and collecting their own water, and they put solar panels on the roof, man, we're going to lose out on all that money. So
I've been seeing a lot of articles.
We need to regulate it all.
Yeah.
We need to regulate it all.
I've been seeing a lot of articles that I don't know how accurate it is, but that the government's trying to make off-grid living illegal in as many states as possible. They're already trying to prevent that from happening.
In the state of Florida, if you have solar panels on your house, you cannot disconnect yourself from the grid.
That's crazy.
So if your power goes out, you cannot hit the disconnect button and run solely on your own solar power.
So what's the point? Or can you use the power still from the solar panels at all?
No.
Yeah, because that would be too sweet, right? God forbid. Because the way it was explained to me, my ex's dad, when he was they were about to do it, and they did end up doing it, getting solar panels on their house. That they have to see how much money it'll save you, because if it's to the point to where you're barely using, Pepco or whatever your power company is, then they won't actually allow you to get the solar panels because like this is too efficient.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make it so you still have to pay electricity and you still have to pay for solar, but like you just said, you cannot by any means.
Well, you have to be connected to the grid. So even if you're taking that solar energy and you're not using it all, well, that extra energy goes back into the grid, right? So they're going to use that, So we need all that power that you're creating there. Like that's ours too.
Yeah.
No, it's not yours, man. I paid for these solar panels.
Yeah.
So they send you 15 cents a month. Like, oh, you put a little power back on the grid. We're going to cut you a little check.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you know about that tax in Maryland. What is the I forget the rooftop the roof tax or the rain tax or
rain
whatever.
Tax. I thought they got rid of that. Is that still a thing?
Did they? I don't know. I don't know.
Man, that was some bullshit. They tax.
I thought it was still a thing,
bro. Are they still doing rain tax there? Let me see.
I'm not. I know what you're talking about, but I thought it was like a whatever the rain touches. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So if you have like a shed or something, like you get taxed extra because.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that. I hope it's not, but I remember hearing about it like quite a while ago.
Storm weather fee, also known as rain tax, is a charge imposed on real estate owners for pollution in stormwater drainage from impervious surface runoff. This system, introduced in Germany in 1990, that imposes a tax that is proportional to the impervious areas such as concrete or asphalt that does not absorb rain to the surface. Rain tax is implemented in Germany and the United States in a way that imposes less fee for stormwater flowing into storage sewer if it has not more Maryland, Illinois. So Maryland, Illinois. Stormwater management fee was established via House Bill in 2012 by the one and only Martin O'Malley. Let's see. It looks like it's the law was modified in 2015 to make the county assess fees optional rather than mandatory. So I guess if you don't want to pay it, you need to call somebody and let them know, or they're probably going to keep it on. So as of right now, it's optional.
Optional.
Yep.
I guess you'd want it for write-off purposes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something written in there about that.
I'm trying to think of why you would ever just want it.
Yeah, take my money. Well, some people like that. Like some people like contributing. Give me a minute, man. I gotta go take a pee real quick. Right. No dead silence. Talk amongst yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my phone. All right.
Yeah, I forgot my phone has that. It freaking sucks. Oh well. So how long? We'll take a little 180 here, real quick. How long you been playing guitar, Rock?
About 22 years.
Oh shit! Okay. Yeah. I think I guess 04. So yeah, like 14 years maybe for me, but the past 6 years or so of that, I switched to being my band's drummer because our original singer left. So I hadn't played as much guitar, but I should be way better than I am for how long I've been playing.
Yeah.
But this is my bass right here, man. So LTD Viper 400. It's my shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah, I got them 81, 85 EMGs.
Yeah, I have the same exact EMG pickups in my Schecter.
Yeah, Schecter's nice too, man.
Yeah, it's Schecter Jolly Roger series.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, I got that guitar because one of my, I don't know, almost favorite bands of all time. They're rhythm guitarists.
Hey, so
that guitar.
How do I get the screen to disappear or become my phone screen?
You want me to
There
get
should
rid
be
of
a
your?
share option, like a share content. When you click on the screen and the menu comes up, there should be like a share content option as one of the things on the bottom where you can mute
I've
it.
never used it from a mobile device. Yeah.
Yeah, it was simple. That's what I was saying. I was like, "There's no way this isn't just working." I was like, "Oh yeah, my damn job."
Okay, one sec. All right, I think I got this.
I keep staring at this blue mic, David, and it's pissing me off. I need to get this cord.
I have a spare cord, dude. I have a spare cord.
A USB cord?
It's the cord that plugs into the bottom of the because it's like kind of like the square 5-sided one,
Yeah,
right?
let me look. Yeah, let me look. I'm gonna bring it up here.
Show me the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's got the screw for like a what's it called? You know, for a stand, then the standard aux, and then the
Yeah.
oh no, it was right. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I have one of those too. Yep.
yeah. This was the mic James used to use, and he let my friend borrow it. And
Nice.
he conveniently lost that, and there was like a nice padded sound guard.
Yeah.
He also conveniently doesn't have.
I don't understand what people do. Like, I don't understand that.
People just aren't responsible.
Especially when it's somebody else's stuff, right?
Yeah, but I'm happy I got this bad boy, man. It's gonna come in handy.
It's beautiful. They're good mics. So I'm gonna change topics real quick, just because there's something I've been thinking about, and God forbid, fucking Star Talk popped up with a new episode, and like I felt so guilty I couldn't even click on it. I was like, man, I went on Star Talk.
What's that?
Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I felt so guilty. I was like, man, I can't even click on it. I feel so guilty. So I haven't listened to it yet. But I was thinking about the moon landings, right? And I was discussing it with a partner of mine at work.
Oh boy.
And,
okay.
And I think I'm somewhere like right in the middle. I don't think we have the whole truth, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten a legitimate, unfiltered shot from the moon to Earth, which I think we deserve. I think that there's a lot of mysteries on how all the original footage from all the moon landings is now gone. We have no more original footage. We have no more – all the calculations that they did on how we got to the moon, they lost all that data is now been lost. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we don't have any of the original footage, and we don't have any of the calculations on how they got there. Like all the original flight data and everything is gone. And I think that the issue lies with me is if humans went to the moon, that is the number one greatest accomplishment in mankind, right? To leave the Earth, go to outer space and land on another moon, but planet essentially, walk around, get in a rocket ship, come back in one piece is the greatest achievement that mankind has ever accomplished.
Yeah.
So how do you just lose that? You think that footage would be in a fucking airtight, sealed bunker somewhere? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think that
definitely.
flight data would have been fucking copied 6 or 7 times over and distributed out to certain agencies to hold under lock and key? Like, we need this.
I never heard that. I didn't know that the stuff was just gone. From what I had heard, that made me skeptical about not necessarily whether we did it or not, but it really made me aware that they do fake some stuff. Was like some of the photos were like proven fake when they were like not too long after they were like released.
Right. Well, they admitted that some of them were fake as propaganda. They admitted some of them were fake. And now it's like, well, why'd you do that? You know, and then there's the whole Stanley Kubrick issue.
See, that's what wouldn't come up on mine is the Zoom, to be able to click on Zoom.
Got it.
Nice.
So let's see if we could find NASA original NASA moon landing footage lost or something like that. So another thing that I was thinking about there. So the three things you need for fire are what? We need air, right? We need fuel and heat, spark, right?
Yes, sir.
So in space, we can have fuel, right? And we could generate heat, I imagine, but it's a vacuum. So how are we igniting a flame for rocket boosters in a vacuum?
It's the momentum. By the time it's gotten up there, don't all the engines pop off? Well, I guess not all of them, but the boost that got it up there. Yeah, no, it's I don't know.
I don't know either.
Wait. Ask that question again, because now I need to kind of run it back through my head. I was thinking about something.
Okay, here we go. Look at this Reuters thing. Moon landing tapes got erased, NASA admits. The original recordings of the first humans landing on the moon 40 years ago were erased and reused. But newly restored copies of the original broadcast look even better, NASA officials say on Thursday. But newly restored copies of the original broadcast, that's shaky.
Were erased and reused?
So you re-record over the greatest achievement of mankind. So you take people to the moon, you're that responsible, but you're not responsible enough to not re-record over the original NASA footage? Seems a little fucking weird to me, man.
I'm just going to scroll on through.
NASA released the first glimpses of a complete digital makeover of the original landing footage that clarifies the blurry and grainy images. Come on.
What?
Man.
Wow.
Well, that's I feel like begs the question, like when
what they do, have George Lucas come in and be like, this is the second edition or the edition.
So Stanley Kubrick did the original one, and then they had George Lucas come in and remaster it. Fuckers.
Look at that guy. He probably helped.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's training for his next flight mission.
So that way he could be a stunt double.
All right, so what I was saying, Rock, in order to have fire, you need three things: air, heat, and fuel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a triangle. The Illuminati triangle. So how do they ignite boosters in space? Right? Because they know they still need to ignite boosters for directional travel, for launching back off the moon back.
Well, couldn't they have oxygen tanks in the engines?
That's it's solid fuel. Because what happens is that the solid fuel itself is under a certain type of pressure and a certain type. It creates its own atmosphere within the combustion chambers.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Solid fuel.
So you don't need air for solid fuel.
Yeah, that's why when you were saying that, and then I kind of caught it, and I was like, because I was thinking it, my mind trailed off, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I know what that is, because that's what North Korea is trying to work on currently with their nuclear weapons. They want solid fuel because it's quick, it's easy, and it runs longer than liquid.
Well, Trump's best buds with Kim Jong, so I'm sure he'll just hand that info right over to him.
Probably.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Why not?
Okay.
Why wouldn't he?
All right. So what about my next thing was the Van Allen radiation belt, right? So supposedly the Van Allen radiation belt gets to a temperature that exceeds the titanium, right?
Yeah.
And then you go back and there was interviews that they had with some of the Apollo astronauts, and they were like, so how'd you guys get through the Van Allen radiation belt? And he's like, Well, tell you the truth, I didn't even know what that was. They didn't really mention it to us, and don't really know how we got through it. So let's pull up the Van Allen radiation belt and see what they have to say about that, because supposedly the heat that the Van Allen radiation belt puts out exceeds the tolerance of titanium, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that there lies another issue.
Well, titanium's only one kind of metal, right? So
Well, it's the metal that can withstand the most amount of heat that we have. Like, I don't think we have a metal that can withstand the amount of heat that the Van Allen radiation puts out.
yeah,
So, are we looking at the heat dissipation?
Is there a wiki page on it? Let's just see what they say about it.
Whoa. Solar wind. Okay, so do you want me to read or do you want to read?
Well, just scroll down. I'm going to look for a temperature. Let's just see if we can find a temperature. How hot is it? Maybe we Google how hot is the Van Allen radiation belt?
hey, dude, not to put throw a wrench into this, but this just popped up. NASA admits humans can't penetrate the Van Allen belts.
What?
Boom.
No, but then there's another video that says, how did the Apollo deal with the Van radiation belts?
Right. How do we do that? I'm not seeing anything about heat. I think they got on to me last week about the scientific agenda. Like, there's not one, but there absolutely is a scientific agenda. There's absolutely a mainstream scientific viewpoint that all mainstream scientists, if they want to be taken serious amongst their peers, need to fall in line with, or you're not going to get funding for the studies that you want to perform. That's what it all boils down to. Is science is politically driven, right? So people need money to perform studies. People are only going to get money to perform studies on things that people want to give them money for, that have an interest in a certain outcome. So I think there's absolutely is a scientific agenda, right? Mainstream scientific agenda.
Oh, definitely.
So in fact, how hot is the radiation belt? You Google that and you just get a bunch of fucking flu. Like, nobody
would not show me anything.
Like, Google should just say, you ask Google a question, most of the time the answer pops up in the top. Like,
yep.
Not there, right?
And it's usually from the most requested site or the most viewed.
Right. It's just not there.
Credentials. Sometimes we're just not meant to know.
So those are a few things I have. Am I saying it didn't happen? No. Am I saying that we're not being told the complete truth? I think that we are not. But then again, when it comes to the government, when have we ever been told the complete truth?
Yeah, all I keep seeing is like the Apollo rocketed through it. Like,
he just powered through. Hey, power through, bro.
Yeah, you remember on Pineapple Express when Dane McBride was like duct taped? He was like, I'm gonna flex and bust out of here.
Like you had one nerd on that fucking rocket. He was like, what about the Van Allen radiation belt? He's like, bruh.
Well, what I was gonna say earlier is, do you think the failed missions, like there was a launch, and forgive me, human race, for not remembering, but there's multiple launches where it exploded before it even like took off. Do you think
I think that was Discovery with the teacher on it and all that bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they made that happen because they knew they couldn't convince people or they were already in too deep in telling people they had already gotten to space, that they had to set up this launch to, legitimately, and then we're like, all right, we gotta blow this bitch up because they're not gonna.
It's funny you say that, dude. I watched a YouTube video about that, right? That exact one. I'm pretty sure it was called the Discovery. and it blew up. And the thing that made it so tragic was there was like a teacher on board and all this bullshit. Well, they've gone back and they've actually tracked down all the people that were on that flight and have found them. Like now that social media is a thing. I wish I had it, dude. I'll post a link down below to that YouTube video, but I'll find it. I mean, I don't know the validity of it, dude, but they put the pictures up side by side, and it was really convincing.
Yeah.
Like it was almost just like a farce, like a setup thing. And that brings me to another point. Like we invest all this money into NASA, all this money into space. I mean, billions.
Didn't NASA funding get cut recently, like a couple years ago?
Who cares? You get cut, they still get $1 billion, right? Right.
I don't know. I would assume so. My producer of my band, his dad worked for NASA for like 30 some odd years, so he's one of the biggest skeptics out there, and there's obviously not much he can say because his dad, obviously isn't really supposed to say much to him, but his dad doesn't, he's not revealing too much, but he can, kind of beat around the bush to where you get an idea,
Throw a quick hint here and there.
Right.
Now, next, I just wanted to bring this up. Now, what do you guys think about all this shit going on?
I haven't even seen or heard about this.
You haven't?
Oh, the trumpet, the horns in the sky. Yeah, it's a worldwide phenomenon, right? From what
it's been going on since like probably 2013, 2014, around there.
So wasn't God supposed to come then when the horns?
Supposedly, but the thing about it is that not a lot of people are theologically savvy. They don't understand that revelations isn't like supposed to happen overnight. Basically, signs are supposed to happen throughout a really, really, just an expounded amount of time.
It's one of the biggest debates in Christian theology. Is it going to be moments or spread across days? Or one day, or it's one of the biggest debated things in Christianity.
We'll check this out from Skynet 5.
All right.
If it works.
You can turn your phone and shit fools. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to hear the audio. You're going to have to put your audio next to the mic, maybe.
Here. One sec.
Mute yourself.
Yep, mute yourself, yep.
Oh, no, it ain't going to work either. I think that's the issue we had last time.
Yeah.
Well, what if you do it from your screen, Dave?
I don't know. We're going to have to work our way past this issue.
We might just have to have a computer do it from now on, man, for real.
So, essentially, what they're hearing is a noise coming from the sky. And it sounds like a deep, like almost like a bass horn right there, Rock.
Yep. Yeah, Rock, I would stop screen sharing and just play at least the audio off your phone.
All right, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, do that. Just play the audio. Because people should probably hear this, because I've heard Linda Moulton Howe did a...
This one was caught on live TV. All right, so I'm going to turn it up. Where's my mic at on this thing? I don't freaking know these things.
Probably up by your webcam.
He's always been on, but tonight was Rico Nasty. But there was some confusion, too, as to whether we were supposed to do this tonight or not.
Hey, Zach, where's Rico Nasty performing at?
She's actually performing in multiple spots within a couple days, but tonight, I think, is Baltimore Soundstage. There's an event called Trelectro where there's multiple artists. That's in a couple of days. She's performing on that, and I don't remember which is which. I don't remember if Trelectro's in Baltimore and she's somewhere else, or if she's in Baltimore and Trelectro is somewhere here.
Where is she from?
She was originally born in New York. Then she moved to Maryland. She was like in Waldorf for a little bit, and then in Suitland. She mostly grew up like in Suitland, but she went to like some kind of like military boarding school up in Baltimore. But she's mainly from like our area, like PG. Like she spent a lot of her time in Suitland.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, she's so talented, dude. I love her so much.
It's ridiculous, dude. That song, I listened to that thing 6 times in a row.
You can't. It's like
it got better and better every time I listened to it. It literally got better and better every time. Because I was hearing things that I didn't hear the first time around. Anybody that's curious to know, we're talking about Rico Nasty.
Yeah, my bad. Erickson here. We're talking about this other artist, Dame, who's from our area, which shout out to Dame, Lady Dame. Her shit's on iTunes and fucking everywhere you can get music. She's got music videos. She's a really dope artist. She actually, Rico Rico used to come around the Den, which is where, Justin and all them performed a lot.
Oh, did she?
Lady Dame. Yeah, I don't know if she performed, but she definitely used to be around.
I've seen Lady Dame at the Den before perform.
She's really good. She's really good. And she's
tight.
Not a shit. But hey,
I had to restart.
Yeah, play them trumpets, man. I want to hear that.
I had to restart real quick.
All right.
For some reason, like the speaker every now and then will just like stop working.
A little intermission.
Rico.
Is it coming through?
Yes.
Get my way, bitch. I get real belligerent. Have a pot of pissing, now I'm pissing on them, and they say I need a doctor. Bitch, tell me doctor, am I really saying I'm showing parents?
Hey, Dave, it's like cutting out now, bud.
Yeah.
It was coming through at first, and then it kind of cut off.
I think that's probably the sound filter.
Check out Rico Nasty.
All right.
Check out Lady Dame.
Check out Zeus the Human 2, High Class, Chief Supreme, Rich Bigwell. Davey, what's your rap name, Dave?
Oh, man, I don't know. It changes every week. I'm probably going by the Cyborg Priest right now. Me and
you're host and creator of the Daily Hangover.
That's my claim to fame.
The Priest over here got bars, man. Don't let the marriage and kids fool you, Chip. He's a beast.
Can you guys hear that at all?
Yep.
All right, so there we go. You hear that?
Damn, yeah, that's not really coming through.
It's freaking quiet.
Let me try something real quick, man. I'm gonna just see if it works from sharing from the computer screen.
Well, I can pull it up on mine real quick.
Yeah, you might as well. We'll get all this shit figured out. It's just like,
technical difficulties.
Once I have my interface.
And we ain't got no producers. We ain't got no sound guys.
We doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? We out here.
It's sad because me and Mahan are sound guys, and we don't have it all figured out yet.
Nah, bro. I ain't got time for that shit.
Dude, I've been around enough equipment that I should fucking know too, man. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah, Dave, man. Let me know when if you can help me with this MIDI controller hooked up.
I got you.
Yeah, cause like I really want to make my own beats.
The fuck is it? It's coming from the sky.
That's how loud mine's supposed to be. You'll know what it is. Just wait.
What the fuck?
been going on for a while now. People just randomly catch this shit.
You know, I think I've heard about it. I just never actually listened. Whoa, turn it off. It's not gonna have nightmares. Oh, that's crazy. Mm-mm. I'd never go outside again. That sounds like Predator is here. It's just here. Like Independence Day is happening. They've already pulled up. Clover.
Crazy.
I thought it was like trumpets. That
sounded like a fucking. They're different. Like there's other sounds too.
They're all different.
Does audio work if you screen share through your computer, Dave? You hear me, Dave?
Those are the trumpets.
And that's not just digital distortion. It actually sounds like that.
Auto-tune came from aliens. Ugh.
So these noises have been recorded from every corner of the earth, right, Rock?
Yep.
Every corner of the earth.
Every corner, they're all different, but they're all pretty similar. You know, they're similar to the point where you know that they're coming from something pretty much the same thing. But
so I've heard a theory that what's going on is where we went through like a certain, you know, because our Earth, you know, rotates around the sun.
Yeah.
And the sun and our solar system are all traveling through the universe at an astronomical rate, as long as with the rest of the galaxy. So we entered into a certain fabric into the universe that's kind of colliding like on a dimensional basis some way.
That's a really good theory.
You know,
that's a really good theory.
And that's why we're getting these weird phenomena.
Because if you think of it, it's kind of like, you know, because you went to sub school, you know all about submarines. It's kind of like moving through water. You know, it's all dependent on the shape and the spherical atmosphere that it's in. So here we have space is nothing but dark matter. It's matter. It's still matter. It's still there. Yeah. Just because you can't see it, it's still there. So you have these huge, massive planetary forces, celestial beings, you know, moving and rotating and creating their own vortex while the entire Milky Way is moving itself. And yes, at an astronomical rate. And it's amazing to think, yeah, it's very possible that a planet can move through a certain amount of dark matter. Maybe it creates some kind of different dimensional friction, meaning rather than seeing the friction done through heat, it's done through sound waves, or it's done through some other sense.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the best explanation I've heard. And I think it was Linda Moulton Howe had some people.
I like that.
There's actually people who study this. Like it's such a phenomenon that people actually study it now. And
I believe it.
And that's something I definitely want to look into more, because sounds like that don't just come from the sky, right? Unless there's a force acting upon our atmosphere in some way.
For every action, there's a reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something's got to happen.
And it's not like they have a fucking symphony in the background. And that first one we heard, that didn't even sound like the trumpets of the first one. That one sounded like a fucking demon.
Like a demonic, demonic opening.
That was really bizarre, man.
Any of you guys ever play Doom? It sounded like a portal open.
Yep.
Right.
Demons were about to spawn on this page.
And I think it's particularly, it'll be particular to note that every time if Zeus, you go on to YouTube and you go and search and watch them over and over again, you'll notice all of them have one thing in common. Right before the sound goes off, you hear birds. You hear things going around, normal things, and then suddenly everything just gets silent, and then the sound comes out.
Is that like because they probably sense the vibration before we can?
Yeah, they probably felt.
Like animals know when an earthquake is coming before we do. You'll see a phenomenon with earthquakes where you'll see animals running and snakes and everything clearing a certain area right before earthquake actually takes place, because they can sense it. Their senses are on a higher level than what ours are. We become numb because of our comfortableness, because we don't rely on our animal instincts anymore.
They've genetically adapted to feel these things, because they rely on that to be able to. Birds need the seasons and they need the rains. They need certain types of weather in order to know where they're going, when they're going, what they're eating, when they're eating, and so on and so forth. So these creatures that we see every day, that we complacently just kind of look at our phones, we pass by them. We don't realize the computer that we live on, this rock. This rock is one giant fucking computer with these. As a whole, it's intelligent. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Like, people always think like, oh yeah, we're the only intelligent being, but you always hear the philosophical phrase of, a bundle of sticks is stronger than one. And the whole fact of the matter is that with this intellectual capability, the planet itself is smarter than us.
Yeah.
As a whole, no doubt.
We just try to understand it, that's all. That's the only difference that makes us different from the animal beings, is that the animals already know what the earth is. We are trying to understand it.
The Christians that are listening to this at all are applauding you right now, because that's in the Bible, basically.
Well, it's pantheism too. It's a form. Yeah, it's a form. It's also a form of paganism, and it's a form of worshiping the planet and the solar system and the stars, and because in the end, I mean, not to sound cliche and kick a dead horse in the face, but we are nothing but stardust.
Yeah.
In the end, all of us. So we came from something, and that something has properties that we cannot foresee, because as even the great Carl Sagan has said, fourth dimensional beings are laughing at us as we sleep, because we cannot see or hear or feel them, but they can see us because they're at a different plane.
Yeah.
They're looking down at the ant farm.
So
yeah.
Speaking of that, didn't early Christianity come from paganism? Didn't Christianity take a lot of pagan theories and incorporate them into
the reason why they did that? The reason why they did that was because it was about 397 AD, Anno Domini, when Marcus Aurelius decided to continue their exploits of the 9th Legion, 10th Legion, and the 8th Legion in Rome. And they decided to continue their exploits to Britannia, or Britain. And so what they would do is they went up there. There were Druids already living there. Druids are a hierarchy society of almost like Merlin types.
Okay.
Where they're all painted blue. You saw it in Braveheart where they paint their face blue. Those are the Druids. Those are the original guerrilla fighters as well, because anytime an opposing force such as the Vikings, which were Anglo-Saxon, came from Norway, came from all that area, when the Vikings and when the Romans would show up, the Scots and the Celts, they were known to hide in the blue shrubs and bushes with their faces painted blue, and they'd pop out and cut off someone's head, go back into the bushes, you would never find them again.
Well, so the Druids were warriors.
Yes, the Druids were warriors.
Oh, shit.
And so the Druids, they were the reason why the Hadrian Wall was actually built by, so I'm kind of jumping around here in the history.
I love it.
So Marcus Aurelius, okay, so he ended up being the last successful emperor of Rome before Rome fell. He handed off to, he was also the first emperor to hand off a royalty title to his son. And so that's what started the whole Britain's king has to bear a son, that son becomes a king, and generations after that.
That whole thing is a Rome tradition, ideology, whatever.
It was started by the last Roman emperor, or the last successful Roman emperor. And so this was back in 397 AD. And so when you finally get up and around about 410, 415 AD, not that many years later, the Vikings figure out how to circumnavigate and go across the shallow sea there from Norway over to the very tips of Scotland and Britain.
Damn.
So they figured out how to get over there, and then they started raping and pillaging, as you have the video or the show that is currently out on Netflix, Vikings.
Oh, okay.
That explains exactly what happens in the 400s. And so, anyways, while they're doing this, the very last Roman emperors, the very last of those Roman emperors are finally falling, and Roman's finally going down. And then you have the leftover Anglo-Saxon, Druid, and Celts mixed blood from the hundreds of years of the Romans coming, the Druids, the Celts, and the Anglo-Saxons from other areas such as Belgium rather than Norway. Norway were the Vikings, Belgium weren't. But you have all these other people coming to Britain at that time, mixing blood, this and that. Finally, you have, the Caucasian race, because you have Italian blood, you have all these different types of bloods. So it all comes together in Britain. And so that's when Britain finally started getting kings such as King Arthur. King Arthur was a legend known to actually be one of the first and most prominent splits of Britain and Rome, because he was the one that fought off Rome, and he fought off the Druids, and then kings that succeeded him actually ended up building the Hadrian Wall in the middle that splits Wales.
Okay, can I stop you real
London,
quick?
And
because I have a question. So the Druids were the pagans.
Yes.
The Romans were the early Christians.
Early Christians, because Alexander the Great was the one to change the religion from the philosophy of Zeus, ironically, over to Christian religion, because during the battle against Persia, he ended up seeing a cross in the sky. So that's when he deemed it law that all of his soldiers put a cross on their shields. And so Alexander the Great.
At that time, what were the Britons?
At that time, the Britons were still pagan.
So the Britons were pagan, and the Druids were warriors, but they were kind of like, I hate to use this word, but like more of like a gypsy type cult that traveled and fought type. Okay.
They were definitely native. Druids were definitely native to Britain. Okay. But they didn't have allegiance to the hierarchy of Britain. They were their own. No, because Druid is their hierarchy.
So they were more of like a pagan warrior. They only, I guess,
they had medicine
men, guerrilla warfare type people.
Yes.
Okay.
They had medicine men. They were really spiritual. Okay. And most of their clothing and shacks and all that kind of stuff, it was all built out of hemp. And it was all because Britain doesn't have a high supply of large animals for leather, so obviously a lot of things that they did was mud huts, hemp, a lot of plant life type of things. Now Druids which you put the title on it perfectly. Yes, they were pretty much like a gypsy type, because they actually had a lot of travelers. The travelers would actually go from Britain, they would boat themselves down to France, and then they would go through France, and they would spread their magic that way, because they were actually the first alchemists of that time. They were the first to figure out. They figured out from the Chinese how to make fireworks, through gunpowder, and so that gunpowder, which at the time it wasn't called gunpowder because there was no such thing, but I forget what the chemical compound is. It's some kind of zinc and
keep going. I'll look it up.
Yeah. Anyways, so that chemical compound, they figured that out, so they brought it back. So the Druids were actually known for building hand grenades to fight the Romans.
Damn.
Yes.
That's dope.
So, and that's where the whole idea of Merlin came from, was because Merlin was actually supposedly he was a prisoner, a captive of war. And so he ended up being a captive of war. And then they ended up, because he was a hierarchy in the Druid society, they ended up putting him as the instructor of Arthur, King Arthur.
Right.
So the gunpowder is a mixture of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate.
There we go.
You heard it here, folks.
And
Yeah.
it was probably potassium nitrate that they used the most because
because it is
that's
highly
the natural,
explosive.
yeah, and that's the natural stuff you find in stone, limestone.
Right. And the sulfur is what's in matches. So
Yes.
So it'll
Igniter. Yep.
it'll ignite under a spark.
Yep.
I think charcoal they probably use as a to make it less, to make it still ignitable, to retain heat, but less like crazy. You know what I mean? If it was just sulfur and potassium nitrate, it'd probably be very unstable. So I wonder if the charcoal kind of gives it the property.
I think that's what creates the compression.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that creates the compression. The nitrate creates the flammability.
The high
Yes.
temperature.
Yep, and the flame, and then the sulfur creates the low combustion rate.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wait, before we get too far off into this gunpowder rant, where do the Crusaders come in all of this? Like, where does that land in history? How much?
Crusaders, the Knights of Tardis, and the Templar Knights, all of those guys actually ended up coming way after. They were sent by, like, the Templar Knights were sent by the Vatican, okay, but then they were also kind of like representatives of the Vatican, and they were sent to all of the different countries. But at this time, this is when the Vatican finally became partners with the Queen in Britain. So it was a joined effort between the Vatican and Britain to send the Knights of Templar across Europe, across Asia, and try and spread God's word. And if they were unsuccessful, then they would kill the entire village.
Right, but from what I know about the Templars is, at a certain point in time, they separated themselves and they became an independent group, and
They made a group of assassins.
Well, not only that. So you had the Knights of the Templar, which were the warriors and the high level people. Then you had the sergeants of the Templar, and what the sergeants of the Templar did is they controlled all the trade routes. So the Templar ended up utilizing ancient trade routes. They established trade routes throughout Europe. They also developed the first banking system, right? For what we know as banking now actually came from the Templars. They had connections with India and the spices in India and the goods out of Europe, and they were connection through all that. They built an extremely great amount of wealth in a 200-year period. They started to loan out money to the Britain kings and queens and some of the royals and the French, and they were actually became a threat to them. So then they actually became persecuted on themselves and went underground. And that's where the Masons actually came from, because a big part of what they did is when there was a major war, the Templars would come in as kind of like Dick Cheney's Halliburton people, and they would come in and they would rebuild those cities, and they would do it under they would build it, and then they would charge the country the money back for the stonemasonry.
That's essentially that's exactly on Game of Thrones. That's exactly what the Lannisters do. So that's exactly what the Lannisters do. So I mean that's your example right there.
But what you were talking about is 1,000 years before.
Yep.
When the Templars came. I mean, this is before Britain even had one king or queen. This is when Britain was divided into 4 or 5 different little factions, right? And It was
It was Umbria.
there were no castles there. There was only people.
Forts.
Right, forts. Yeah.
Footholds, forts.
Things like that.
Yep.
And that's really strange, right? Because you think about how powerful like Britain is now and the influence they've had on the United States and the rest of the world and in Africa and all of the islands and the colonization that they were able to establish throughout the world in a short amount of time. And when you think about what the Egyptians had and then what the Greeks had and what the Romans had, for people that came from mud huts and, you know, the Egyptians had castles and pyramids and great amount of technology before the Britons. We know the Romans had developed the first modern form of concrete, and they built stadiums and they built pantheons and all these great monuments. The Greeks did the same thing. And then all of a sudden, some fucking bullshit farmers, literally what they were in Britain, came out of nowhere and established dominance upon the entire world, man. And
that's exactly what happened.
It just boggles my mind because they were nothing.
And before that, you had the ancient Sumerians. Before that, you had you have India, Mumbai. You have
even India had great
Burma.
Monuments, right? Monuments.
And Burma. And then you get into South America shit, and it's like how the hell all of these people at the same exact time, you know? That's one question that boggles everybody's minds, you know? But ancient astronaut theorists contend,
Giorgio,
you know. What's up, Zach?
I was about to say, this is not quite as unrelated, but I just want to see kind of what you guys thought about this. I brought it up to Chief, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I've heard it enough. I'm pretty confident that this is true. They've recently proven that all humans at least originated from Africa, right? Is that really?
Well, that's sort of actually that's starting to sway a bit because they found the even older bones than Lucy out of Africa. They found older bones, I believe, higher up in Asia.
Well, we're gonna say modern human, right?
Yeah, modern human, basically. Cradle of life is where the Republic of Congo.
Because we know that there were examples of humanoid, but we're gonna say modern human, Homo sapiens. We can all trace back to Central Africa, right?
Right. So here's a discussion I kind of somewhat was having with Chief last weekend. And it kind of ties in with racism, but really what that means and just scientifically why my skin is white versus why some people have melanin and it's darker is just where my people are from. There's not that much sun. It's cloudy, so you need to be able to take in as much vitamin D as possible. And if you have too much melanin, you wouldn't be able to survive. So it's like literally I've seen this chart before that shows like the shades of people closer to the equator and the people closer and closer to the equator are darker. Like this is literally just a thing of evolution. Like that we all came from Africa, aside from the recent stuff that is being brought up now, like what you just said earlier. I mean, like, and it's the human fucking race. I'm just white because of that's where my people, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally like, it's humans enslaving humans, you know what I mean? Like, white people were the most recent to do all this fucked up, crazy, insane slavery shit, but all kinds of different people have been enslaved over the history. So it's crazy to me that it's still 2018 and we still have this insane race shit happening when like it's literally like
because it's social dominance. It's social dominance.
Crazy. It boggles my mind because the tangent I kind of wanted to go off into, which is something we brought up last time, and some I really would rather discuss when everyone's here, but we can hop on it a little bit. Is like most of you guys were making comments that like white people aren't incapable of being racist, when I personally, being a white dude growing up with predominantly around black people, like I have gone through a lot of racist stuff, and it is racist shit. It's literally, we are better than you. You're just this. Your white people are shitty, blah blah type of stuff. Like up until like last week, like shit happens like that all the time. But it was bothering me that you were saying that can't happen, because it happened to me and it still affects my life, because I'm still mostly around black people for the most part. For the most part, it's kind of a melting pot, but especially with my friend group.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I watched it back and I heard you say, nah, Dave, I don't agree with it, but you never got the chance to like take your statement further than what you did.
Yeah.
But I watched it back and I was like, fuck, dude, why'd I say that? And I think like it's just something I've heard somewhere that I agree with.
Here's the thing. It depends on how you define racism, because I think a lot of people, which I disagree with, I think a lot of people define it as you can only be racist if you're the oppressor, which I don't think that's what racism is. I think if you're just assuming shit based on somebody's race.
Well, that's a prejudice, right? And I think we need to find the difference between a prejudice and a racist.
I don't think that's just prejudice, though. That's what I was.
So let's say this. What's the difference between racism, being a racist, and being prejudiced? Right? We need to establish that, right?
You want to just look up the definitions of both?
Look up the what's the difference between being prejudiced and being racist?
All right, I'll look up racism.
Because I think there's a way of thought now that's kind of being talked about is in order to be racist, you have to have an advantage over another race just listen to what I'm saying. Just listen to what I'm saying. You have to be able to have a dominance over another race and systematically persecute them and hold them down. Now, you can be prejudiced towards somebody and it will have no effect on them. Like, I hate that white motherfucker. He gets on my motherfucking nerves. That's prejudice, right? That I think that's the thought pattern that I was
that's racist.
But listen, you're in PG County where you're a minority, right? So you don't have the dominance race there. So if somebody's coming down on you and being prejudiced, that they are performing racism on you. And I think that's kind of like the thought that I was going through, because it was the way that it would kind of. So it's the same thing.
This is what I pulled up: prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's race is superior. Now, that's based on the person who's committing the racism's belief. Whether they're superior or not is open for discussion, and I don't think anyone's superior. I think humans are humans.
Right, but I think it's that last part of the definition that people are kind of going off on, based on the belief that one race is superior.
Right, but that's where, like, even you had just said it yourself.
So I'm more superior than you. So I'm gonna discriminate against you, and I'm gonna
right. But the thing is,
that's racism.
Right.
Now, let's look up the definition of prejudice.
Because prejudice is part of being racist.
Right. I think, no doubt. No, but let's just look up the simple definition of prejudice.
Right.
Let's see what that is.
Oh my God.
A preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. So it has nothing to do with race.
Nothing. So that's like me saying, for instance, if the only experience I've ever had with black people, let's say I live in bumfuck nowhere, Texas, and the only black people I've ever seen robbed me, did some outlandish wild shit that no human should do to another person, it would be prejudice of me to assume all black people.
Right.
That's not even technically
that's prejudice.
that's not actually being racist. That's what
Right.
I wanted to bring up, is because
Okay. That's why I wanted to look it up. Yeah. I'm on it, dude.
Yeah, so, but I feel like where Justin was going, and I know he's not here to defend himself, and I would love to bring this up with everybody, but like he kind of kept going on, like kind of like what you were saying, like he was assuming I'm basing stuff off of white people that I met that are racist. I'm basing my perception of it on my experience as being a white dude, being mostly surrounded by
motherfuckers.
Ever since I was little, it's weird to talk about because I'm a white kid, but I've gone through a lot of what I would consider racist shit. Like if it were flipped and I had said or did those things, people wouldn't stop. In a second, they would say, "You're a fucking racist, bro."
But you're a white kid that grew up in PG County, right?
Right. So do you think that it's strictly situation based? I don't think it is. I think you're either being racist.
I think if a white kid grows up in a black neighborhood, he's going to experience prejudice and racism. I think that if a black kid grows up in a white neighborhood, he's going to experience racism, prejudice. I think that there's examples of racism and prejudice that just happen naturally that people don't even have control of. Like I have friends that are white that are not racist or prejudiced at all, but we get drunk and I'll start talking to them and I say, so if a group of white guys walk by you and you're on a bridge, just say you're on a sidewalk and you're walking over a river and there's a bridge and you see a group of white guys walking towards you, are you going to automatically feel threatened? And are your shoulders going to raise up and are you going to tighten up? No. But if you're walking across that same bridge and you see 4 black guys walking towards you, are you going to feel a different way? And 95% of the time, it's like, yeah. And that's a prejudice, right? That's not racism because they're not racist people. That's a prejudice.
But see,
the
that's
definition of what I see now, that's a prejudice because it's just not it's a lack of not knowing. It's like prejudice to me is the same thing as ignorance.
But for instance, would you say that same situation, since I'm a white dude, and say if it's a black dude in that situation, what doesn't make sense to me is if it's a black dude sees a group of black people and feels threatened, is that just prejudice? And is it immediately racist because I feel the same way? That doesn't make sense. I think
it's a racist. I think it's a prejudice, right?
Okay. See, that's what I wanted to kind of touch on because
based on the definition of what I saw tonight, I agree. I think that just my example is you just don't know. Like you don't know. It's not familiar to you. It's not your cousins. It's not your mom. It's not your dad. It's not your family barbecue people. So you don't relate to that color. You see somebody else walking across, and the same thing could be probably a group of Mexicans walking across a bridge. Like,
I think part of that.
Are they going to want to rock with me? I don't know, man.
Yeah, part of that is instinctual. If you were walking somewhere you'd never been, and you see a group of another race that you've never been. Or not never been, but never been around. I don't care what race you are and what race they are. I think it's natural because, oh shit, I don't know how these people be rocking. I don't know if this is a threat or not. I think that is just evolution at work. I think that's just, I don't know what these people are about, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you can insert.
That could be said by a black dude walking across a bridge in Mississippi somewhere out in the fucking middle of nowhere. And he got a white girl with him. They're an interracial couple. They're walking across the same bridge with a bunch of fucking country bumpkin motherfuckers walking across that bridge. Like, all right, are they going to try to fucking, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the same situation. But if you saw a group of black dudes walking across the bridge, he may feel a little more comfortable. He may not. I don't know, man.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the races are interchangeable for that. You know what I mean? I think when it comes down to like, breaking down, just straight up caveman, straight up instincts. If you're a race and you're by yourself and you see a different race of people in a group, I think it's not outlandish for you to be worried because you've never been around that race before.
I don't think it's outlandish at all. I don't think it makes you a racist either. I just think it makes you cautious.
Right, and I've had this discussion with multiple black people, and the wall we always hit, the part we can never get by, is nobody believes that you can be a racist if you're not in a position of power or whatever, which I think.
Well, now that I think back on it, that's a cop-out, right? I think that's a cop-out.
I think so too, and I think that in itself is supporting the racism. Is that means that you do believe that white people are actually superior, and you do. That's what that like. So it's
Right.
like you're screwing your own self over. You're putting them in that position.
Right.
Like, should not be in that position.
You're acknowledging that is the status quo.
Right. So if white people are not this superior race, which I do not think any race is, you can't say that white people or black people or any other race can be racist, because that's just not true. It's just not true. I think that's ridiculous. But I never get to get this far in the conversation.
Well, our conversations always come between black and white, right? Because in America, that's just what we come to know amongst our communities.
Yeah.
But if you take into account the Middle Eastern community, the Indians, Indians from India type people, marrying outside your race is extremely taboo until this day, even in people in America. Like, is that racism, or is that like, I just want to maintain my culture, I want to maintain my family line?
Exactly.
So, yes. And I think it, as time goes on, of course, it's going to get more lax and more lax and more lax. But you still have first generation.
Shout out Mia Khalifa. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Mia Khalifa.
Right, groundbreaking.
She's groundbreaking. From Waldorf, dude. Shout out Waldorf. Yes, motherfucker. Not originally, but she spent her like high school years here in Waldorf. Yeah, and then she left her family and did porn.
Congratulations, Waldorf.
I guess I'm not a fan, but
I don't know. I don't get into it, but
yeah.
No, dude, I appreciate that. I'm glad you brought it back up, because when I watched that podcast back, I was like, you know what? I didn't even have nothing to come back on if I didn't had nothing, and that's why I was like, well, let's look up the definitions. Let's get the real idea. Let's understand let's understand the words that we're using and why we're using them that way. To begin with,
that's the definition. When I'm discussing this specifically with black people,
do what we did tonight. Bring up the definitions, put it in their face, and say,
it never gets that far. It's I don't believe it's period. Black people can't be racist. They come out the gate swinging with that, and I never even get a chance to do what we just did. You know what I mean? And be like, look at what racism is and actually means. You can't just decide what racism means. Racism has a definition. Now, I know words and everything are made up, and everything that we know is made up by somebody, and you can have your own beliefs as to what's racist and what's not. But if we're going to have this nitty-gritty break it down discussion, like you said, we have to define what racism is and what prejudice is. And
right, but you even have like racism in between, like, quote unquote white people, right? There's places in like Eastern Europe and that kind of blend in mildly with the Middle East, where everybody's kind of light or white, and there's still technically different races, and they still collide with each other.
It's crazy because it's all about appearances. Like, for instance, in my band, my bassist, he's half white and half Mexican, like straight down the middle. But Dave, he looks like Dave. Yeah, he looks like you, bro. Like, he just looks like. He looks more like a white dude. He looks like he's Jewish more than anything. He's got a big nose and curly hair, stereotypical to.
Yeah.
But he's literally, his last name is Reyes. Like, he is half Mexican. 100%.
Right.
Yeah. So
who knows what's what? Then that's what I'm saying. If everybody did a 23andMe or a Ancestry.com, man, people are gonna have their feelings hurt, bro.
I want to do it so bad, because if there's 80% African, I'm Wakanda forever, bro.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it really soon.
Yeah, I want to, man. I just gotta get. It's like $100 or something. So hopefully once I start making moves in the next month or so, I get some more money together and I can start doing what I want with it instead of leaving over gas and food and shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, man, I'm glad we got to.
Speaking of that, are you looking at the? I don't know. You had something pulled up, but there was a scientist who was doing some research, and he established like the original 5 races. Can you pull that up, Rock? The original, the scientific. There's 5 races, right? You got like
Are you seeing it on here?
Or? The skulls made me think of it, but there's Mongoloid, there's Caucasian, there's Mongolian, maybe. I don't know.
Mongolian is everywhere because of Genghis Khan. Like, so many people are part Mongolian because he.
I think that 30% of people that are Asian descent can trace their fucking great-great-greats back to Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Go to a Google search, not an image search, real quick. I want to see if we can get it pulled up because there was a scientist who did a study, and it was like he came down to the fact that there were 5 races.
I mean,
pull that up where the skulls were. Go back to the skulls.
all right.
Go scroll down. Scroll down. Right there where them skulls are. Yeah, pull that one up.
Okay.
Where there's like 5 skulls there. Go back.
Jesus Christ. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, right there. I don't know. Can we read that? I don't know. It might be.
Yeah, you gotta like hold your finger to do like a hard press on it. It'll take you to the original image.
Now,
Oh.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to read it. We can't read it.
No.
Damn. But
Nada.
he broke it down to. The funny thing is, all those skulls look pretty similar, but there are some bone structure differences within.
For sure, and those are very like, with the flesh on them, would be very noticeable.
French naturalist George Louis de Buffon published his Buffon theorized that African skin tone was the result of the intense tropical sun. In natural history, he also considered the similarities between humans and apes as a possibility of common ancestry. Perhaps his most significant contribution to the race debate was in recognizing the infertility of different races. Infertility undermined the polygamous theory that each race was a different species, since interracial offspring would have been impossible under polyganism. So basically what he's saying is we're just the same race, just different looking.
That's what I was trying to say earlier, is the skin differences are literally evolution. The further away from the equator you are.
We wouldn't be able to interbreed.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why we can't survive in the sun at all. Like, I'm not supposed to be somewhere where there's sun all the time.
Because you're not adapted.
Somewhere where it's cloudy.
You're not
That's
adapted.
right.
It's the same thing between the Arctic fox and the desert fox.
Yeah.
The desert fox and the Arctic fox are the exact same genome, but with a little bit of a DNA difference from the adaptation of one has short ears, a lot of fur, the other one has big ears and hardly any fur.
Yeah.
And it's all about what atmosphere they're in.
Yeah,
and they're
so
completely different looking, but the same genome.
Yeah, the bottom line is the human race is fucked up. And I'm not trying to escape, the bullshit that like white people as a race or whatever you want to fucking call it now have done all this fucked up shit. I'm not trying to like free myself of that. I just don't think people think of it this way at all. Like at all. It's just literally black and white and black and white. Like literally like no it's literally a black or white thing. It's like that's not the case at all.
I think it's a black or white thing here, but I think if you go to a different country, it may be a yellow.
You just pull out different swatches. Like I remember hearing one thing I heard on a podcast once that I thought was awesome is somebody commented saying like, man, it was like on a meme or something. Like I wish that we had different traits. Like why aren't there some humans with horns and tails? And somebody commented,
my boy got a tail.
I don't know. Just for what reason? I don't know. Like that's besides the point. It was like a Tumblr post. And someone was like, dude, we can't even get the color of our skin down. Can you imagine if there was like, well, fuck the horned people. It's all about the tailed people. You know what I mean? Like, we would be divided. You know what I'm saying? We can't even get this part down. So, like, thank God that this is all we have to deal with, Because, like, imagine 1,000 years from now and most of the world is some kind of beige. they're gonna pull the swatches out and be like, "Oh no, you're a C5 brown. Fuck the C5 browns." Like it's gonna get that. Like you know what I mean?
Dude, what if 300,000 years ago there really were elves and there really were what are the little people with the axes that swing them?
Dwarves.
What if there were dwarves? What if there were elves? What if there were giants? What if there were us as like regular humanoids? And there were all these different things, and we were all kind of the same, but different in that same fashion. And that's exactly what happened is we fought each other to the point we destroyed all the technology we had, and we had to start all over again, and we just prevailed. We defeated them all, you know.
Look what was left behind. That's the whole question.
What if all these fairy tales are real?
Look,
and that's exactly what happened.
Look what was left behind. All these great temples, all these huge monuments, yet there was no freaking civilization to study because there's no bones, there's nothing left behind on some of these.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? What's the deal with like Machu Picchu and these places and Göbekli whatever, where you have these huge monuments, but there's no bones? Like, where the fuck did the people go?
Aliens, man. Aliens.
Is that really what it is?
Racist aliens.
I don't think it was aliens, man. I think there's a possibility that either something superior came here and showed people what to do, or people were more superior then and just didn't develop the technology yet and were the best at working with everything they had at the time.
Or there was an advanced civilization that is gone and we just don't know about it, right?
Yeah, possibly. That's what we dipped into that last time. Like, what if Atlantis is totally not bullshit and they find some crazy ass place where they were more advanced? It was just different technology than what we've got.
There's one theory.
Like, fuck electricity. I can read your mind. Who cares? Like. Well,
that's what I'm saying. They were like, yeah, we're gonna build shit out of stone because we know it lasts 100,000 years. You keep using wooden sticks, bro. See how that works out for you. Like, look at this. This ancient structure was built on a mountaintop in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, who lived up there? What were they doing?
That's crazy.
What were they doing up there?
Emperor Cusco.
Right? That's my shit. Don't fuck with me some Disney right now.
They had food. They had water, obviously, because somebody had to build this. On a mountaintop that you and I couldn't even fucking climb, probably. Look at that, man. Look where they're at, bro. And you telling me that they did this, I don't know what the estimates are, 13,000 years ago right now, I think is the most accurate estimate.
Yep.
13,000 years ago.
That's crazy, bro.
And maybe older. And they haven't even uncovered all of it. That's just one. And the thing is, the thing that's weird about it is they say that mountain shouldn't even be plateaued at that point right there. It was almost flattened perfectly for a reason to build on.
Yeah, dude.
That's what's really odd. That should have been a peak there, right? And it's just flattened, and then there's just a monument, and then there's no burial sites, there's no bones.
Hey, pull up
evidence of old fires and arrowheads and things like that.
Yeah, pull up Stonehenge at some point too, man. I know that's like one of the most famous ones, but like they still don't know how that shit happened.
Well, this is England, right? And this is far before the time that we were talking about before with Britain. This is the time when England they weren't even farmers. They were just fucking almost cavemen, or just at the cave.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they were able to build a structure with these gigantic stones that had I guess references to the equinoxes, right? That's kind of like where we're at now with Stonehenge.
What in the fuck? How the hell do you do that?
That guy.
It's amazing. And then they figured out that Stonehenge actually extends out a long ways out. They found other evidence of things. They found the another weird one is the Nazca lines, right? The Nazca lines,
Got that.
the ones in the Nazca Desert in Peru that you can only they have the shapes of the spiders and things like that you can only see from like fucking drone helicopter level.
Oh no, I didn't. I don't think I've known about
Look
this
at
one.
these, man. Like these are like in the Peruvian desert. So in the Peruvian desert, it's so dry that these have lasted thousands of years. Somebody was on the ground and they drew these shapes, but you
Look at
can't.
that astronaut. He's waving at you.
Yeah, he's a motherfucker down on the ground waving at somebody in space, dude. This is thousands of years
I'd
old.
have to fact check it, but I believe that's over a couple miles long.
That looks like a fucking alien, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Watch, check these out.
Look at this, a monkey.
What?
That's from aerial view, man.
I did not know this was a thing.
Yeah, bro. Check it out. Dog. The Nazca lines are amazing.
I feel like trolls were smart enough to be
Look
like,
at this, Zach. Look, if you can look at you know you've seen Google Maps enough to see how big that like this image is, right? Somebody drew that from the ground in perfect geometric mathematics, that in a way that you can only appreciate it from the sky.
Like you can see.
like it looks like this is maps for ships to land. Like, oh yeah, this is how we know where we need to go.
Right.
So,
Look for the Phoenix, bro. Look for the Phoenix.
See where my fingertip is in the face?
Yeah.
That's his face down in the corner, left-hand corner. And then it's his neck, and then there's a second one on his back.
that's wild.
And if you see a close up, maybe we'll find a close up. It just looks like somebody just fucking carved a trail like with a 4-wheeler and a rake behind them. You know what I mean? Just like drawn in the sand is what it looks like.
Don't they still not know how to explain like most crop circles? Like I know a lot of them were like they debunked them, but like aren't there some that are still like no one knows how this?
Yeah, right there. Like go down, go back one, Rock.
Doing it. Come on, phone. It just paused.
That's cool. So, crop circles. Yeah, go down to where. Yeah, see, Zach, that's what it looks like from the ground. Look how massive. You can see how they're just like little trails, and they move that whole area is just covered in rocks, and so they just cleared a path, and it's so arid and dry there that these lines have lasted.
How is that possible?
Years. And they drew these out over miles and miles, man, and just made these big ass figurines.
You think they drew them out, or there was actually like a fortress that used to be there, and it's just an imprint?
Whoa, that's a good idea. But to me, it looks like a drawing, right? Somebody just did a massive scale drawing.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely what it looks like.
I mean, it's an amazing feat.
But how, with rain and fucking like how?
Well, because it doesn't rain there, right? It's so arid and dry. It's a dry desert, right? So once you there's no wind. It's just the perfect like atmosphere in that area to maintain those lines. But that goes to say, well, that just happens to be this. Look, you see the frog there? You see this little frog with his hands and shit they're drawing? I mean, that shit is insane, bro.
Yeah, that's wild.
So maybe shit like this happened all over the planet, but vegetation grows in some places and things get overgrown and the rain washes things out.
What you looking for?
Look at that shit. Yep. Those guys were they're pretty cool people.
And then they say that like they weren't advanced. Like that to me that takes
them off at midnight.
That's high level mathematics, right? In my opinion.
Look how symmetrical like most of the
back to the geometric shapes and how everything is like geometrically aligned and square and even. Look at the space between those fucking circles.
I mean, that's a golden ratio right there, dude. That's
Golden
perfect.
ratio. I want to get that shit tatted on me, bro.
Oh yeah, and that's supposed to be like an ancient airport.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a runway. Look, they say that's a runway.
Get the fuck out of it!
Yeah.
Dude, I'm getting goosebumps, yo. This shit's creepy, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, so yeah, those were those people. They did some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, fuck them though. They're dead. Yeah, look at
Fuck
that.
'em, though.
Look at that. That looks like a fucking video game goblin that we would use today.
And see, and then Dante was saying last episode that there's no reason why we should worry about our history. It's like,
Right.
why wouldn't you?
What? You're not intrigued by this? Like, why would they draw this figure?
No, see, the thing he was saying is he thinks we've reached our peak of he doesn't think we can discover anything else. He doesn't think it's pointless to do it. He thinks it's pointless at where we are now that we found out everything we can
So
find.
he thinks we should just pull our resources that we use for studying history and put them into other
and put them into and put a but
roles
I think,
as far as establishing like futuristic possibilities.
right, but I think the conclusion we all had come to, and I think even he agreed, and he can who watches this, he can comment on. I think he agreed that, you know what, we should, like the point you had been making, Dave, we should be expanding both directions. We should be looking forward and looking backward.
Yeah.
Not necessarily equally, but we should be doing both.
So when you're talking about the crop circles, right?
Yeah. I don't know much
Pull
about
up some crop circles real quick, Coop.
All right.
I got a little knowledge in it.
Ironically, because that's where the Druids, that's where that shit originates.
Right. A lot of them are popping up there in England, right?
What?
Yeah.
Mind fuck, bro. That's crazy.
It's all the UK, right? The UK
Yep.
is like one of the biggest hotspots for crop circles. And there's been like imposters out there who, take 2x4s with ropes on them, and they can draw out lines with rope. You put a rope in the center, right? And you stretch it out 100 feet, and then you do your line around that rope, so you can get some pretty solid geometric shapes.
Some of these can be debunked, obviously, because that alien face, but
there's some out there
like that.
The way that you can get close on some of them, and you can tell by the way that the crops actually lay over tight. And when somebody does it with a 2x4, you're going to have like strands that pop up here and there that it's just not tight, and you can tell it was done. And then there's some that are just fucking
you can just tell from
out into the earth.
You can tell that that's legit right there just from the lighting. The way that it does that almost like a shine effect, because that's how perfectly the side of the crops are being shown.
But see, I feel like this one, like with the lines on the outside of it, it's like you could have started in on any of those lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's people out there talented enough to do crop circles, right? But did they start doing them once they found out that they were popular? And not only that, the most mysterious one is back in the 70s, Carl Sagan developed a placard, right, that went out onto the Voyager spacecraft or whatever. And no. What was it? God damn it. He sent out, yeah, that's what it was. And he sent out like a picture, right, that was see if you can pull up, Rock, the Carl Sagan Voyager alien message or something like that. And then they made a crop circle responding to it. And it showed, like, he had a picture of like what a human looked like, what our DNA structure looked like, and all this shit. Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Was it this one?
Yeah, that might have been it. It was something like that. Yep. And then.
So here's what I want to know, Dave.
So look, you see this image right here?
Uh-huh.
That's what we like sent out to the aliens through like a broadcast, and then put out crop circle response to Carl Sagan or something like that, and then it'll pop up. Like there was a crop circle that popped up, and it was a response to the picture that you just saw, and it had an alien looking thing. It had like the alien DNA. Yeah.
You all right there, man? Oh shit.
That's an image everyone wanted to see.
My bad.
What?
Yeah, see, if you see on the far left there, if you see on the far right, that's what Carl Sagan sent out on the Voyager, right?
On the far left is the crop circle.
And then on far left is the crop circle that showed up. And it's an alien. It's a different DNA structure. And they sent a response back.
Look at the little alien is completely different and it actually has a defined head.
Yes.
That's freaking creepy, dude.
I mean, of course.
It's different, but it's in the same format. That's what's so cool about it. It's like this is us, and then they sent this is us.
Right. Like, was that a troll move? Did the aliens just troll us on that?
I don't know. Like they're like, no, our head's not that big.
Like, come on, bro. I don't know. It's really weird.
Friday's up yellow, bro.
Okay.
Saturday I work all day. I close.
Wow.
Yeah, I got you. I got you, broski. That's insane, though, man. So hold on. This is what I was gonna say earlier, Dave. Since I don't know much about it, I know that there's, like you said, with the 2x4s and stuff. So are there still unexplainable ones?
Yeah, this one right here.
So this response thing is legit unexplainable?
Yeah. This is a legitimate. There's definitely they've gone out to crop circles with Geiger counters and measured higher radiation levels.
Yep. I mean, look at that. Like to do that with a board, it would take you probably it would have to take you like a 24-hour. Like
Oh yeah.
that's a lot of back and forth walking.
That's a lot, dude. I don't even know 24 hours. 24 hours maybe with like 10 people.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to be on the same page exactly.
Everybody's got to be checking. There's got to be someone up in the air being like, yeah.
And you got to think you're doing it in the dark in the middle of the night.
So hang on, let me get some clarification. I'm sorry I missed some of this because people were coming in. So originally, someone put out part of a crop circle looking for a response. They responded on the same one?
No. Carl Sagan put a message out on the Voyager aircraft, right? Or the Voyager spaceship.
Yeah.
And it was – show them the original. Go back to the 3. Go back to the 3. If on the far right, you see –
Uh-huh.
All right, there's the message.
Go to the far right. That's what we sent out. It was a human. It was like what our DNA looked like, and I don't know what all that other shit meant, but Carl Sagan did. And
Majin Buu on the bottom.
If you scroll to the left, the far left, that's an image of the crop circle that the aliens brought back with their DNA structure, an alien, and it was basically this is us, and then they came back. They made a crop circle and said
them together.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, there's
so
is a little dude, man, M for man at the bottom, and these people fucking.
We're all about that brain.
Explosion for alien, I guess, instead of the abbreviated M.
And I wonder if it was like aliens don't even look like that, but they know we think they look like that, and they just troll the shit out of us. Like, what if aliens are just trolling the fuck out of human beings?
Oh, wouldn't you be? I would be. Look at these
dumb just fucking like these fucking crazy motherfuckers shooting nuclear weapons at each other. Like
still riding on wheels and they shoot each other for.
They speak. They don't even all speak the same language. Like they can't even understand each other, and they want to commit for world peace, but they all speak fucking different languages.
All right, since I won't need sound on this, I'm going to see what you guys think about this.
Hey, just a heads up, gentlemen. I'm about to jump off here in a couple minutes.
All right.
Probably like 5 minutes.
What time is it?
12:05.
Mm-hmm.
12:04.
Now we're getting into UFOs. I love it.
Oh, I love these, man, because they're so unexplainable, bro.
What is that?
It's Kamehameha. I told you, y'all, the Saiyans are chilling, all right? And the Saiyans are flying across. No, I'm just fucking around.
That
I don't know.
like some fucking Dragon Ball Z shit.
It really does, though. Look like
From what I heard, it was a one of what's his name? What's that motherfucking
Elon Musk?
Yeah, it's one of Elon Musk rockets.
Why would it look like that, though?
You know how the Aurora Borealis looks like weird when it gets to the ionosphere and it breaks off in different colors. I think it's a similar.
But
thing.
how would a rocket? Why don't we have rockets that would just do that? Or do we? And that's what this is.
Yeah.
But the shit disappears and spirals. Like I've seen multiple videos like this.
Yeah, the weirdest one is the circle. When the clouds break off into a perfect circle and you see the lights going around that cloud. That was a really weird one.
There was one, man. Have you guys heard this this recording? It's a pretty famous recording of a dude who said he was a former employee of Area 51 and
it was on Coast to Coast with Art Bell. Yeah.
Yes, I've listened to that so many times that it creeps me out every time. And I don't know, man. There's so much to know. It's just absolutely like.
Well, the thing about Area 51 is if it wasn't like something important that went on there, it wouldn't be so heavily guarded, right?
Yeah, man. There's videos of people like deactivating the sensors so they can get pretty close without them knowing. Well, you're still gonna get shot when you pull up.
Well, I think this day and age, most of it is underground, so you're not going to see anything anyways. Another thing is they literally still fly people in on 737s to go work, right? So the people who work there drive to the airport in the morning. They take a plane to Area 51. You don't drive in there. You get planed in there. But we know like the SR-71 spy plane was developed there. We know a lot of high-level technology was developed there. But now there's even things about Area 52, you know, that we have multiple of these sites. And
why wouldn't we? That just makes sense. Like
supposedly, yeah. And David, to expound on that, supposedly all of them are connected by underground truckways.
Why wouldn't they be, man? It makes perfect sense.
That's why like trucks like disappear, then all of a sudden reappear. Like I don't know.
Well, my thing is this. Are those facilities there to help us and maintain the safety of our families and our kids? Right?
I think so, because nothing crazy that's inexplainable has happened yet as far as aliens and us getting hurt or anything.
Is it a good thing? Are they there to help us or are they there to hurt us? That's what we got to know.
It's a little bit of both. I think they're probably protecting what they know. And they might be protecting it so badly that because they have the wherewithal, the means.
But is there a point that protecting what you know is more important than protecting the knowledge of everybody knowing that?
If you're planning on, let's say, I mean, a big problem right now is like overpopulation in the earth and shit, right? Like eventually there's going to be too many people. If they have a way, they could just wipe out about half the population on some Infinity War Thanos shit. If they are hiding the means to do that, of course they're going to protect it that heavily.
Okay, let's think of this on a lower level. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you was talking to somebody and you were like, yo, I'm about to make this move. I know Reggie got me this job, but I don't really want Reggie to know right now because – you know, I don't know how he's going to feel about it, but I'm about to make a move, right? But I'm telling you, you know, but don't tell nobody. So like sometimes people scheme on levels where they don't want other people to know shit because they don't know how that person is going to react to it, but they know it's beneficial to their cause, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like how people operate, like, and I think that's just what's going on a higher level. Like, hey, look, I'm going to fly y'all out to this joint. We're going to be working on some fucking crazy technology. We got some shit here that nobody needs to know about because if they find out about it, we don't know how they're going to react. Not only that, but once we find out about it, then China and Russia and everybody else finds out about it, then the secret's out in the open. I don't need everybody knowing that right now. I'm trying to protect y'all, man. I'm trying to fucking look out for everybody. Is that what the situation is?
Possibly, man. And that's the other thing is there's all these other places and governments and like I'm sure China has their own Area 51. I'm sure like Japan has their own Area 50. You know what I'm saying? Like there's probably crazy shit everywhere where everyone's hiding their shit, and it still raises the same question that you're bringing up. What's more important? Maybe like, and that's the thing is like, well, I don't know if we'll ever know while we're here.
There's a rumor that they found a Stargate in Saddam's palace, right? That was one of the reasons we went over there was, the first thing that we did when we went to Iraq and we conquered it is we took over all of the ancient artifacts that Iraq had, right? We went there. We grabbed all the ancient artifacts out of all the museums. And
Jewish New Year over Israel. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, this is a great one. You got to watch this, dude.
I don't think I've seen this one, dude.
Oh, dude, is this the one where the shit comes down over? Oh, watch this, Zach. This is the craziest thing ever.
I've seen most of these. I'm surprised.
Watch this one.
What the fuck?
Just wait. Shit.
What?
I don't know. The silence is killing me.
I know, but this is the one where the beam comes down over top of the temple.
Yeah.
And something comes up out of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Over Israel, of all places.
Stargate.
On the Jewish New Year, is what that said.
Well, that's what they talk about, like the Jewish gods, right? The gods
we all came from Israel.
Well, the Jewish gods aren't our gods. The Jewish gods are aliens, right?
Maybe.
The Kabbalists.
Is this a loop, Brock?
No.
What I'm thinking about is like there's a no, this ain't it. There's one in Jerusalem where the light beam comes down, and
I've seen that. That's at nighttime, isn't it?
You can see something launch out of the fucking the temple there in Jerusalem. So I know you got to go, Zeus. I ain't gonna hold you up, man. But
yeah, no, I love the freaking stay.
Yeah, watch it. You got a light beam, Jerusalem. Yeah, this motherfucking thing is crazy.
Demon of the. I think
at nighttime or.
I've seen this one. Oh, crazy!
Watch this shit.
I know, it's crazy. I've seen this one.
He takes off.
Bye.
Boom. Gonskis, bro.
Fucking Ultra Instinct Goku, bro. That's all it is, man.
Then look, flash.
Like, what are all those? What is that? Oh my god, that gave me goosebumps, man.
So that's not fake, right?
I don't know. I mean,
they've tried to debunk it, but I've never heard anybody come back and say that's CGI.
I've looked into so many, and there's no clear answer, man.
That motherfucking beam took off up into the fucking. It was gone, bro. It came down, got whatever it needed, and it took off.
You see that flash, though? It had that flash first, and then.
Damn, did Coop just log off?
He probably got disconnected. I doubt he would just roll out.
So, do you think that I'm gonna hold you up for 2 more minutes just to get your opinion on this. So, what if this was the case? What if there were ancient aliens that came here, right? It gave birth to the original humans. They created the original humans, which were the Jews, right? They flourished. They flourished. Some of the faction of the Jews broke off, and they created other races and other people who were separated from the Anunnaki agenda. And then they kind of took over the world, right? And the Anunnaki had to go back and handle their own business. And then do you think that maybe they're starting to come back a little bit, or observing or helping like their people again from a distance? Or do you think that's possible?
I feel like if there's any kind of superior race, if for the sake of this discussion, of what we're saying is true, and there is these alien things, creatures, interdimensional, whatever you want to call them, if they are coming back for stuff, the only thing that I could ever think of them coming back for is resources. I don't think it would even make sense for them to observe us other than, like the comment you guys said earlier, like, look at the ant farm, for that sake, for that, like, oh, I got this little crystal ball, but it's the earth, you know what I mean? Like, just look at that. Look at this thing we did. And they're
right. If they're going to come back, it's going to be like, we need some shit from this planet. We're going to come back.
I don't think if anything we're seeing happening, the only thing I could think of if I were a part of, if I were a superior race, is like, all right, well, we got to go get these specific neurons that you can only get from Earth, and we need these for our crazy technology, or these specific, like, I don't know enough about science, but we need this resource to do this thing, to whatever thing they're trying to do. I don't think they're looking. What's that? Hey, is it out there now? Hey, shameless plug that, man. High class society.
Yo, so that's fucking insane. And you're right. If the story holds true, they came here for resources. They created us as a slave race to mine those resources. We took over the planet. Some shit happened with them, or they just went back home. But what if they're making their fucking descent back into Earth, and they're like, yo, we need some of that gold again, But they can't get it. They're going to have to go after too many mumble rappers to get that gold, bro. The mumble rappers ain't coming off that gold.
You got to think, if they are really a thing, where's the realm of being able to travel? Can they go through time? Can they just jump around all over the universe?
Okay, if what we just saw was true and that piece of light just fucking launched out of that temple, I'd say yes, right?
I guess. Like, why would – I just don't – maybe my problem is I don't think we're that special as a planet. Like, I feel like if they need some shit, they wouldn't have to come back to Earth for it. Like, why?
But I think we are that special. Like, I mean –
maybe
we have people living on it, right? There's organisms that live here. Like, there's life that flourishes on this planet, and there's a whole. Not only that, but we have a planet within our planet that's just all like 90% of our planet. Like, we're the minority on our own planet. That's what we don't even realize.
Yeah, facts.
We're the minority on our own planet. There's a whole planet, 90% water.
Can you imagine?
Fish live. You know what I'm saying? And there's mammals in the water like us. They're just fish mammal. They're fish humans.
Yeah. This is just how we talk. Yeah.
Right?
we build stuff and we named ourselves, and
But there's 90% of the Earth is ocean. There's a whole the majority of our planet is not even us.
But it wasn't always, and that
Right.
is always.
But are we special in the universe? Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, we're special in the universe. What makes us so special? There's life here, right? Not only that, but there's massive amounts of unobtainable resources that might not be available as much as we think, like gold and diamonds. Diamonds, even though they're not as valuable as we put value on them for because of price gouging and things like that that the De Beers do, but it's extremely hard. It's extremely good for cutting other hard objects. It looks good.
Yeah, but diamonds.
Gold is one of the best insulators out there, along with silver. The natural resources that this planet has to offer.
I don't think they're worried about that because that thing that shot up in the air, that didn't have no diamonds or gold. Diamonds can't travel that fast. That shit would disintegrate. I think, you know what I mean? So I think, yes, that could be why we're special, but I don't think the resources that they would come back for would be what we value, like what you're saying.
What if their planet doesn't have it?
What would they need gold for? If they can just travel between.
Well, the theory about it is this: the Planet X theory is this: their orbit is extremely long, right? There's another planet, and it goes so far outside the solar system, it gets so cold, that they don't have that their planet would freeze. So, gold is one of the best insulators that we have on this planet. So they take gold, they turn it into a dust, and they spread it on their atmosphere. So when they go on their extremely long orbit, it insulates their atmosphere from the cold. Right? That's why they came in. That's why humans have such obsession with gold, is because that's what we were created to do, was mine gold in the early stages of our creation.
Yeah, that's the theory.
That's the theory. Is that's what our obsession with gold is.
I didn't know that. That's news to me. I didn't know that.
Like the Anunnaki, they came close. They knew we had gold. They came onto our planet. We mined all the gold off our planet. They put it into their atmosphere so that when they make an orbit around, that gold insulates, because gold is a great conductor of electricity, but it's also a phenomenal insulator.
Mm-hmm.
Gold is one of the most valuable natural resources we have on this planet. Fuck a diamond. Gold has more useful properties than almost any element that we have.
You've seen that stuff I never thought about or heard about.
Gold is amazing. Yeah. Gold is a great conductor. That's why, like a music equipment, when you got gold connectors and things like that, you pay the top dollar for the gold connections because it's phenomenal.
But is it real gold or does it just look gold?
It's gold plated. Yeah.
Mm.
It's not solid gold. It's gold plated. Gold plated connectors. Yeah. Or you'll have like a silver or nickel,
Right.
But if you get gold plated connectors, yeah.
Shit, I'm about to jump to here. This has been dope though, you guys.
It's a good podcast,
definitely,
man.
For sure. Yeah, I love this, man. Like, it's cool when people are missing because it's gonna be shifts in dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When change some shit up a little bit. But all right, y'all.
For sure.
Until next time. You guys gonna keep going?
Yeah. Well, I guess we will for a little bit. Just close argument.
We'll coop a little bit for a little bit. Yeah, ain't gonna be much longer.
Peace, love, happiness.
All right, man. You too. Be safe.
Hey, give me 1 sec, Coop. You gotta take this.
And it's taking me this long to leave.
Awkward. Where the fuck did it go?
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, man? All right. I'm looking for my 1/4-inch jack to the brand new. Oh, there it is. I hate losing these things, you know, the adapters. To your
Oh,
headphones.
dude, I've lost so many of those fuckers. I actually keep them back in the original pack. I save the original little packages they come in,
Yeah.
and then I slide them back in there and I put them places. So I don't, and I still lose them. But yep.
Well, I mean, I have. I haven't brought it up, but downstairs I have in the basement. I have an ashtray that's full of all my guitar picks and my
The
little adapters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Matter of fact, I got them everywhere.
Oh yeah. Can't go wrong with enough of them.
1/4 inch, 1/8 inch.
Yeah, I've got like 50 RCA cables, 50 1/4 inch, 50. I have them all, man. It's
Oh, so you had popped off. This just dropped, man. It just dropped just at midnight.
what's that?
Focus.
I can't see it.
Focus. Hold on, give me a second. It's not gonna focus. Oh, there we go. Oh.
Looks like you're trying to do some kind of like weird ninjutsu with it.
Damn it. Focus. Here it is.
Focus.
It's me and Justin's. We put a little mixtape up.
Nice.
Just dropped on Apple Music. I'll send you the link.
All right.
You don't have iPhone. Do you have iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you should be able to look it up.
Yeah, I'm all appled out, I guess. I have tons of Apple shit.
Yeah, that I got the iPad. I got the iPhone. I'm about to get my Apple computer. Like I told you here in a couple of days. I just don't have use for Windows anymore. I mean, I love it. I love Windows. I grew up on Windows, but as far as keeping everything connected wise, I mean
Compatibility, yeah. Compatibility wise, you have to have that. They make it that way on purpose, you know.
And I love it. I love the ease of use. I mean, certain things suck doing, like downloading files onto the iPhone fucking sucks, right? It's way better with Android. But I always keep an Android tablet or a spare phone somewhere. But I don't know. I feel like I've definitely been implemented into the Apple platform, and the stability that Apple has shown, the fight that Apple has put up against the government as far as giving backdoors into our devices has really given me confidence in Apple. So,
oh yeah,
I mean, because we know what Google is. That's the CIA, right? So, what they didn't have was Apple. And when they wanted to get the backdoor into Apple, Apple said, "I'm not giving you a backdoor. You know, it's not going to happen." And they went to court for it, and they won.
That's the funny part, is that people don't realize like full servers are actually owned by the USGS. You know.
Yeah. The day that there was a CIA operation that they did for metadata collection, right? Now I don't remember the name of the operation off the top of my head. And the day that Facebook was created was the day that metadata collection operation ended. And then that metadata collaboration or collection ended up being Facebook, right? Facebook has collected more metadata for the government than any other program that they could possibly ever think of, more than licensing or anything else. If you want to know something about somebody, it's on social media, their thoughts, their behaviors, their movements. I'm taking pictures of my lunch. Where do I go daily? What bars do I go to? What vacations am I taking? Who are all my friends? Who am I tagging? Who are my close friends? Who do I never communicate with? Who and then Snapchat comes into the picture with facial recognition, right? So now I'm taking fucking Snapchats and I got dog ears and shit on it, and I think it's cute. But all that shit goes into a metadata collection. Now they have the 26-point figures on your face for facial recognition software. So no matter where you go, you know, they're gonna know whether it's you or not.
And they strategically put those things, the ears, the cute little ears, the flowers, the sparkles. They strategically put those things to compensate as if you were to have a hat on, or if you were to have like some kind of whatever, I forget what the Muslims wear, you know, like some kind of drape over your face or something.
Yep.
So that's the funny part is like that, you know, you could really run the world through play, and it's easy, you know, as long as you keep the general population entertained, then they will. I mean, that was the whole reasoning behind during World War II and during all that time, is that they're like, well, in order to keep our general population from being fearful, let's put out more movie theaters. Let's put out more drive-ins. Let's put out more things to appease to the general teenage population of that time. So it kept everybody distracted, you know?
Well,
it's
it's macro psychology, right? They invested a lot of money into these psychologists who came up with theories on how to control large populations, right? And keep large populations in order, right? It was America was a psychological experiment almost, starting in the 40s. I think is when it really started to gain some headway. So if you don't think the government employs these psychologists that know exactly how to manage large populations and keep them numb and under control without rioting or causing revolution, that's why they have to throw these things, television and TV shows and radio and music. Well, music is always going to be there. I'm not going to include music into it. But now, for instance, excuse me, Snapchat is worth over $1 billion. If you wanted to buy Snapchat, you'd have to bring $1 billion to the table, right?
Yeah.
They've never been profitable. They've never shown $1 of profits, right? Well, why is that? Because it's a propped up company by the CIA who knows that the data that they're collecting is more valuable.
Yeah, it's governmentally funded. So, right. You know, and anytime that there's a governmental funding of,
how do you have a company valued at $1 billion that's never made $1 of profit?
Because you know,
but they're getting pictures of all our faces, and then now Instagram has the same thing, like Snapchat filters. It's like they take the points of data on your face. I mean, where do you think that's going? You think every picture you take on Snapchat doesn't have going into a database somewhere?
I mean, why doesn't you know? I mean, it's easy to think that way because it's like, all right, you already have Facebook. Why are you guys making Instagram? What's the difference? I go on Instagram. The only difference is that you don't see rants. You know, you just see pictures with rants. They still get those rants in there, but it's like there's no difference. You're still liking. You're still doing all the same things. Just different icons for everything.
Well, it's like, what are you doing? Where are you at? It's metadata, right? Metadata doesn't mean nothing until you go back and you try to put the pieces of a puzzle together. So you collect metadata on people, and now you know what their moves are. Oh, he gets up. He stops by Starbucks in the morning. He takes a little picture of his drink. He goes to work, takes a selfie at the desk. Fucking hates his job. He's miserable. He gets home. Kids got soccer. Taking pictures of kids at soccer practice. Like they can track your whole. A
beekeeper keeps a hold of his entire stock of bees because, believe it or not, bees don't start out as, you know, a colonizing force. They actually learn how to colonize together when you bring in a bunch of brand new bees, and so he has to learn their behaviors. And so that way he knows when the best harvesting times are. So that's the kind of metaphor for our human society today. It's like they need to know our best practices in order to know exactly, in case scenario of a war, okay, this is where we would evacuate this group of the United States, or this is how we would do it because this is how their behaviors are, and this is where the statistics show this is how many people like that photo of let's just say some puppy. All right, so that puppy was actually it was probably picked out by some psychologist somewhere, and he's like, yeah, this puppy actually has a deeper meaning subconsciously to the people. So when they like it, you could actually categorize those people on top of their other metadata collections. So then you get a profile of a person. Then you get profiles of people because people they're not that unique as they think. So when you put these baseline profile over an entire society, you can see exactly how to counteract and or move a society if you need to, or police state it. And you know exactly which places are most vulnerable, exactly what kind of people you're dealing with, you know? Because I guarantee if they went like downtown Brooklyn, you know, like that, the statistics there would be a lot different. So because of the metadata that they collected, if they needed to police state that area, they know that they need to bring the arsenal. Because they know the violent posts people put up. They know, you know.
Damn.
And so it all bases off of that social. It's so weird.
So they probably have some kind of algorithm that calculates all that for them already.
Exactly, and it's all a personality test. It's like what we did in the submarine force. We had to sit there and fill out an entire
fucking 500 fucking answer question sheet on our
and a lot of those questions were the same but different just enough that if you don't answer one question that's the same as the other 10 that you answered yes, you answer one no.
I noticed
and they're
that
like,
also. I was like, this is a bullshit fucking test.
Yeah, and then they know. They're like, okay, well, obviously, since he said no to that type of wording, this is what kind of command he would be most likely not to follow. So it's a big study. Human beings are nothing but a case study. Every single day. And it's all exactly what you talked about. It's all about profit. It's all about control, profit, name it.
Well, let's name it. What's the, if there is an Illuminati or a cabal or a leading force, which there has to be, right? There's an elite group that has an agenda for world dominance or whatever it may be. But like, what do you think their outcome, like, what do you think is their optimal outcome? Is it depopulation? Like, what do you think they're after? If there is an Illuminati, like, what's their agenda? Like, is it just to control and remain in control? Or...
Well, I feel like it's all based on, I obviously nobody knows their prerogatives, but I feel that it is on a baseline of they are setting, it's like a chess game. Life is a chess game for anything, for society, for everything you do. You make a step, you get closer to your goal. So the whole idea, consensus behind it is that I believe that slowly but surely the Illuminati and or government, they give us an inch every so often, just enough to keep us, keep our morale up. It's kind of like on the boat when, you have the cook, they cook an amazing meal because you're going to be doing ice exercises for the next 2 weeks. It's all about morale. So they give us just an inch every time that they, eventually over a long period of time, those inches will then go away completely. And they're going to be like, all right, well, we just got them happy enough. So they're not going to know what hits them. So that's when you're going to have an entire society turnover where certain people, by this time, we're going to have technologies that because of the metadata collections, because of everything, we're going to know exactly who to lock up, and we're going to know exactly what reasons to give it. to justify it, because people are going to want reason. Why was Aunt Betty locked up? Oh, well, because of this, this, and this. She just so happened to slip up and let us know that she did this, this, and this. You know? And so then you have the other innocent people that are less of a problem to them. They're more they're more psychologically turning. They can persuade those people in a certain direction. So anyways, they're setting up this chess game so that way, yes, they have control. And then to top that off, it's to spread their idea. That's all humankind ever wanted to do with religion, with race, with anything, is to spread who has the best idea out of any type of population. And the best idea always flourishes. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to set it up to that finalized best idea. This is the one world order that George W. Bush, the senior, wanted. This is the one world order that has been talked about since the time of Julius Caesar.
Since the time of Julius Caesar?
Oh, yeah.
It dates back that far.
Oh, yeah. It goes back a long way. And that's the thing, like, history, you look at all the figures in history, and it seems like they're all connected somehow, some way. And it's amazing to think, okay, this would kind of blow your mind, but like, what if there is some kind of extraterrestrial force behind the political leaders of the world? How long have they been like that? And if so, if they've been like that for, let's just say, 10,000 years, that means that political leaders for 10,000 years have always had a back channel to talk to somebody.
Right, but that 10,000 years is, it's a pretty long time. What's taking them so long? That's my question. Like,
well, the universe itself.
Do they not have a concept of time? Like, they don't feel rushed?
Time is only relevant to the ones that are standing in it. So what dimension are you standing in currently? Do you show up in a dimension, a third dimension, and say, okay, this is what we want you to do, or these are the technologies we're going to provide you with. In order to do that, follow us, we're your gods. Okay, this is 10,000 years ago. And then 5,000 years after that, they give them more orders. Okay, this is how you hierarchy your people. This is how you politicize. And this is how you group the slaves together. We're going to give, because you teach a man to fish, he has food for life. You give a man a fish, he only has food for a day. Right. So in order to up the production of whatever their prerogative is, they had to teach the humankind, all right, this is called slavery. And this is who you enslave. Whoever seems stronger, but they have to have physical differences, or else at that time you would have never known who to enslave and who not to enslave, because it's like, okay, so that guy right there, he's white, I'm white, he has the same stuff I do. How I can't enslave him unless I kill, unless I somehow entrap him and do this, and this. So what do? You cause for an entire race of people to believe that they are under you. And so that's their belief, because in their perception, they think, yeah, there's more of them and less of us. And so whoever it was that started the entire cascading effect of slavery, it was all based on the idea, you need to produce more of what we want, so we're going to give you the ability and knowledge to how to enslave your own people. And so 5,000 years after that, every so often, I believe that these entities show up however we deem comfortable to see. So that way they don't scare us away. So let's say George Washington, he's sitting there one night, he thinks he sees a ghost, because that's what image this thing comes to portray itself in. But then it tells George Washington, I'm a voice from God. This is how I want you to start leading this country. And so, of course, he's going to believe, oh, it's a ghost from God. But that's only because whoever that entity was put themselves in the image that is best fashionable for that moment. So they've done that for thousands of years, coming back, checking on us. But my closing point being is that in their time, because they're in a different dimension, we do not know how slow their dimension runs or how fast it runs. So the same person that told King Tut, this is how you're going to expand your wheat production and keep your people happy, but keep the Jews, down. If this is how you're going to do it, that same person could be that same person that he went back to his dimension, aged a few years, came back and talked to George Washington. We don't know. It could be the same freaking one group of extraterrestrials that call themselves the Illuminati, shows up on Earth one day, and then creates this fascist, like this movement of Illuminati, but keeps the title on Earth with people that they respect, the higher elites, and come back and check on us every now and then. I think that they pull the strings.
But what do they have to gain from us?
Probably just we're like a reserve world. What if we're a reserve world? We're a planet that is occupied by one race of one species that can keep this planet pretty much, doable, and keep the population of the predators down, keep the population of disease down, keep these things discoverable to the planet as it evolves. So we're basically a live-in manual for when they need our planet. So say that, oh yeah, we need Earth today because we're running out of resources. Good thing we have the human beings to tell us exactly how it runs.
Okay, so if they live on a different dimension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that dimension still affected by the same cosmic rays and natural disasters that happen on Earth in the third dimension? Or
well, it all depends, because if you look at it, all right, so mass doesn't necessarily have all of the properties capable of changing the, I guess you can call it the vibrational makeup of something, unless that mass was, fighting against. Okay, so if there was another force or another dimension that was fighting, because we were talking about how dark matter, what if it's kind of like a frictionless kind of a substance out in space. So we can't see it. It's still there. It may be interdimensional. It may be like kind of like a spider web holding everything together. But what I think is that when there's an earthquake, when there's certain things, yes, they could possibly have ramifications in the other dimension. But again, time is relevant. So what could happen with us in a normal earthquake for us, that a shaking of, let's just say it takes 5 minutes for all of San Francisco to be leveled. What if in that other dimension, time runs differently? So what if that actual earthquake is just a very slow-moving, tectonical, minute feeling?
Yeah.
But it all depends on how much energy is being exerted from the universe that you are sitting in, because they may be sitting on a higher plane. So our universe, just like the microbial universe, has no effect on things a couple planes above the microbial universe.
Do you think, like, as a natural resource wise, like what the Earth has to give, there's things that are on this Earth that they could utilize in their dimension? And
I believe so.
Yeah, and they can come here and mine those things and utilize them in their dynamic as far as resources go. Because if you think like physics wise, they probably still have to fall under the same order of physics as we know it. They might have a higher level of physics, but they probably still rely on a lot of the same physics that we have on a third dimension.
Inertia, all that.
And if they're on a fourth dimension, they may have an alternative, but they still have those same laws that we have. They just have an extra law that can counteract some of the causes. So some of the same resources that we have on the earth probably do affect in the fourth dimension how they affect in the third dimension.
But and that's also a cool point that you think of, because I mean, if that is the case, if these extraterrestrial beings live in another dimension as such, that means that they are adapted to that dimension and those laws of physics. So that means that in turn, their molecular structure can also alter and act differently at will, because they have that extra set of senses. So they can very in turn just show up in your room, while you're sitting in bed or sleeping. They can in turn probably pause time, for all we know, because their dimensional flux is so much of a different energy that it may outdo and or overpower whatever ours, because who knows if it comes with the age of the dimension that you're sitting in. Our dimension may be much younger. It may not be as powerful, so we aren't adapted. Our dimension is young.
Well, I'll put this into perspective because they unearthed a worm, an Antarctic worm that was frozen for like 10,000 years.
Yeah.
They thawed the worm, and then the worm just came back to life after 10,000 years. This was a recent, like last week I read the article. So if into that worm, even though we live in the same dimension, to that worm, we're probably seeing something they're not seeing, right? So if that worm was frozen in time for 10,000 years and then he just woke up, he's going on as if nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So what's this to say the same, like they couldn't freeze us in a way in the same similar fashion to where we just wake up and like keep moving on and like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. It's kind of like fishing. It's fish in a barrel. You're sitting there looking at these fish in a barrel. The fish don't know what's going on. They just know what's going on inside the barrel. And so you could very well put something in that water, cause all the fish to tranquilize themselves, or however, you can't really do that. So I don't know if there's.
Well,
this
you
is a good
flash
example.
freeze them like the worm was flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash freeze them and then wake them back up. They would never know what happened.
Right.
Because of the fact that they're fish.
Just keep on moving.
They're on a different perspective plane. And so, awesomely enough, if you think about dimensions and you think about the age of the dimension and you think about, the properties that evolve, I feel like our galaxy evolves over time with, okay, so real quick, to also add on to what we were kind of speaking about, what if they can pause and what if we, this and that. It brings us to the theory of, it's kind of like if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound?
Yes.
It brings us to the theory of what if human beings, through a connected network of neurons, protons, neutrons, our brains, connected network, all together we create what we see, because we are a giant web of thoughts and web of energy. And so we create the universe that we see, but because we are a young race and or species of thought beings,
yeah,
we just simply do not have those physics created in our imagination yet. And so that's what I think, is that it comes with the age of the dimension. And that's one big thing that Stephen Hawking kept hitting on, was that eventually, probably in 5,000 years, human beings won't even have a body. We're just going to be some kind of floating photon mass, because of the way that we evolve along with our universe and the way that our minds evolve,
because
our surroundings evolve.
We're going so deep into our own minds that our bodies are becoming less relevant.
Yes, in the Buddhist realm, the more you concentrate on yourself, the less you will need yourself. Weird, huh?
Yeah. And that's where we're at now.
Exactly.
we're concentrating so much on ourselves. We're becoming so selfish, less community oriented. By far, right now, like we don't take care of our people. I live in an apartment complex, and we know two of our neighbors that we actually communicate with. You know, like that work out. Their kids will come over to our house. Our kids will go over to their house. And that's in a large community, an apartment complex. Like this is my community I live in. We just don't have any sense of obligation to anybody. You know,
Exactly. And that's what
except
on
for
our
ourselves.
yeah.
So we're going so deep into our own lives, and like our own lives are so important that eventually, why are we? Hold on. Want to say hello? This guy's still up.
Hey EJ,
Say what's up, man.
what's going on, man? How are you? Are you good?
Say what's up.
Hi.
Hi.
Go. Yeah. So I live in a community where we don't even like. There's no taking care of each other, right? And that's why I put on the group chat the other day when I was saying we could all put it on a pot, right? And if everybody puts in $100 a month between 12 people, once a month you'll get $1,200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way people used to do it. That's the way people used to save back in the day. It took an obligation between a community, and it took the faith in that community that everybody was going to donate that time that time and that money to. Everybody was going to. Sorry, I got distracted. But it took that sense of community for everybody to contribute to that cause, and everybody stuck to it because something was going to come up, a hot water heater, or somebody lost their job, or somebody was going to need that money. And once a month, somebody got that money. That $1,200 helped people. Like it was a survival, but once a month you contribute on it. And I kind of like the theory of it because I don't know 12 people that would do that. You know, that's the thing. I don't know 12 people that I would trust in to do that. I probably do, but maybe barely.
But ironically, that's how a government is started. You know, because you start doing that, you get these group of people together. They're all putting money in a pot, and they're all saying, "Well, where should that money go? Who should decide this? Who should police the money?" You know, and then all of a sudden you have a government.
Right. Like, who's the toughest motherfucker in here that we trust that's going to hold the money?
Who's got the best nukes?
Somebody that's not going to get it stolen. Somebody that's going to make sure it's delivered on time to everybody else. You know, so you got to establish that. You know, then you got to establish, well, how do we just in what order? Who gets it January? Who gets it February? Who gets it? Or is it you petition for it every month? Like, just say it's February. You spent all your money on Christmas the last year. You need that money. And 5 people petition for it. Well, who wants it in February? You know, now we got to decide that. Now a council has to come through and decide who's in dire need this month. So then now you have your Congress kind of. Who needs that money this month? So, yeah, dude. That's a fucking way to put it. That is the basis of a government.
Yeah.
Without a doubt,
people.
right?
12 people into a government, man.
Right. Who's deciding it? So, you want to wrap it up, Coop?
Yeah, man. So from all of our topics tonight, that was pretty good. So just as a basic thesis overview, tonight we discussed a lot about racism. We discussed Nazca lines. We discussed some weird things about that, lights in the skies, sounds in the skies, and many other very interesting topics. So that was a really good show. And we were really productive actually this time around, and hopefully we're going to get more of the technology figured out by for the next few times. So
And that's it. Daily Hangover episode. I don't know again. Thanks, Rock. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, David.
You guys have a good night. We're gonna rock on. We're gonna keep it real and stay drunk. Peace.
All right. Peace.